Morning all. That was quick. Neil Francois, good morning, sir. Always present. Daniela Williams, morning, Daniela. My hand is better, Daniela. I do have the brace on this morning. It has the power of painkillers, so I'm hoping it would hold out. The swelling has gone down significantly, so still some challenges in terms of bending my fingers, but it's getting there. So hopefully in another couple of days or so, I'll give it till the end of the week. I should be back to normal, hopefully. I won't require any therapy. I'm still trying to do some things on my own to try and exercise, do some exercise. I might be pushing the envelope, but yeah, that breeze could be a bit of a challenge at times. Glenn Richardson, morning, sir. Pauline Buckmeyer. A day's blessings to one and all. Florida. Florida, yes, Pauline. How I wish I were there now. Soon again. Charmaine Richardson, morning. Althea, morning. Cyril May, yes, morning. Morning, Roxanne. Thank you so much for my brooms. Shah, good morning. I'm proud to be Trini. Morning, J Dimple 66. Morning to you, the Patriot. Morning, Ruben Rogers, Jackie Graham, Natalie F. Morning, guys. Rhonda Joseph, Deish Rubin, Doreen Pear, Yul Tilton, morning. Fred, morning. Leon Joseph, Francissa Batiste, morning. Jacqueline Phillips, Melba Boxel, morning. Melba, long time no see. Patsy Nelson, morning. Udani, see who I have on Facebook. Joycelyn Small White, morning. Joycelyn. Claudette Jeffrey, morning to you. Morning, Claire. Claire, I still haven't had opportunity to read that article from, was it Indira Ramprasad or Sheila? But I will try and locate it. Carlos Fornelia, morning. Jennifer Nathan, morning to you. Marlene West, morning. Yes, happy Palm Sunday to all. Good morning to His Excellency, President of Pleasantville, Nigel O'Connor, and First Lady Marcia Keegan. Annette Baird, morning to you. See. Winston Jack, morning. John Edwards, morning. Morning, Nicole. Nicole Caesar. Wazid Bakradan, morning. Pamela Moses, morning to you. Matthew Johnson, Claire Irish, morning. Denise Coggins. Clayton Smith, morning, guys. Angela Marie Villafana, Shell Lambert, Candice Joseph, morning. Alison Samuel, morning, Alison. Still keep jumping up. Marilyn McKenzie, Jennifer Dorset, morning. Julian Parker, morning to you guys. Brent Wilson. Let's see what this thing here. 11:17 on this Palm Sunday 2024. So, right, so let me see how quickly I could jump into it given the time already. Victoria Isidore, good morning. Alana Rose, morning to you. So, of course, the trending story is mutiny in the UNC. Nothing new. Yes. So once again, the leadership of, well, I don't know if the leadership of Mrs. Prasad-Bissessar is being challenged, because I think Russian Parrys and those who have aligned themselves with him are asking for internal elections of the party's various arms, not just the national executive, but I think I saw today a post where they're looking for internal elections with respect to party groups, the women group, the youth arm, and all of these different entities. Because Mr. Russian Parrys is of the view that the current UNC executive cannot successfully challenge the PNM in the next general election. And no longer it seems, is the national executive of the UNC of the view that the party can beat the PNM alone in a general election. So we saw over the last couple of days, Mrs. Prasad-Bissessar sat down to have scones and tea with Ansel Roger and other members of the trade union movement. So it seems Mr. Roger and his cohorts have decided who they're going to endorse for the next general election. I mean, they've been hinting at it all the while, and they did support the UNC in the last local election. Of course, that really didn't help the party much. It may have helped in terms of them securing at least one of the two seats that they were able to win in San Fernando, particularly that of Jean-Michel Ali-Bocas. Macamillion, who won by a very slim margin on the Marabella train line, a seat that the PNM has held for quite some time. But again, as I told you all, that to me, that victory, based on my own knowledge, was based more on perhaps some disenchantment on the part of some persons who normally support the PNM, and the typical mindset that some people have for local election, and that's not important. That they're changing who the prime minister is. That ain't going to change the government. So I ain't need to vote. I just only vote in general election. Every election comes, and every vote comes. And when it is that you have two seats were lost by a margin of 11 votes in one instance and I think 26 in another, it speaks volumes. Right? It speaks volumes. And I don't know how else to get people to understand. The local election is just as important, because you have the UNC. I mean, it wouldn't have changed the outcome in terms of the popular vote, which is what the UNC has been hugging up and loving up and using that to say they win the election and they win the election. Munilal and his foolishness continue to talk that talk, where they win the election and they win the local election. Shame! Shame in the tail. What election you win? Your election right now, you have 69 districts and the PNM have 70. And I think there's either one or two tied up in the court or something so, right? Or is it the PNM has 71 and the UNC 69? And one is tied up in the court, the Lengua Indian work. And I think the UNC still had an issue. They wanted to still challenge that ARIMA seat. But anyway, so the PNM has more districts than you all, and they got less votes, 130,000 votes. Was able to give the PNM 71 districts. You all have 69. And all you're hoping to win that Lengua Indian work seat so that they can balance off. Come now, man. Well, let's be serious. Like a big PNM still ahead all the way. Oh, we win. If you hear him, was it Monday, boy? Either Friday or Monday. And the population has spoken. And that is why we won the election, and we will win the upcoming local election. It's the general election. Same thing Ole said in 2019. Same thing Ole said in 2020. Call the election, election call. And all they get all their tail handed to you all. and a platter, right? But let me see here. But this latest challenge to Mrs. Prasad Bissasa's leadership will go nowhere. It will end up the same way that the last few attempts ended up when the Vasan Bharat, and we already see that has started to happen. Mrs. Prasad Bissassa has dismissed Mr. Parry as a wannabe. Remember, she dismissed Mr. Bharat as an elitist Indian. They were calling him a knife and fork Indian. Right? He's not in touch with the ground. He's not in touch with the ground, and therefore he needs to wheel and come again. So let me just check this here. Right. So Mr. Parry, I think it was on Friday, held a press conference calling on the leadership of the UNC to hold the internal elections. Mrs. Prasad Bissassa, when she was questioned by members of the media, first off, started off by describing Mr. Parry and others who support him as wannabes. Wait your turn. You want to be the leader of the party, wait your turn. I ain't ready yet. She wants one more turn as prime minister. She wants to experience that for one more term. 1 more 5 years, 3 months, and 14 days of poor governance under her leadership. Right? But all she's doing is cutting ribbon and tossing dirt. That's what she wants. To be called Madam Prime Minister, you know, the flashing blue lights and so on, because the one Prado that she has right now and the 2 police officers is insufficient. She wants to have 3 and 4 Prados to experience that, the flashing blue lights and the like. So she ain't ready yet. Rushton need to pull up and park, and in any event, as far as they're concerned, Rushton is a Johnny come lately. Look how smoothly the PNM's internal election went a year and a half ago. No fight, nothing. Who want to challenge for whatever position, Nunes Teixeira and Junior Barak, whoever the hell the name is, they come, they do the thing, they challenge. It didn't work out for them. Okay. They pick up the marbles and they go on home. Teixeira left the PNM. She went and she joined Hope. She's now the deputy political leader of Hope, but still always in PNM business and always have something to say about the PNM. You moved on. Mash. But it's like Vandana Mohit. In the debate on Friday, I think it was telling Shamfa Kojo to leave Kamla alone, and they don't be in PNM business, and they don't study PNM business. But you're always in PNM business. If you're not in Keith Rowley business, you're in Palisade House business and all that, always studying. Leave that alone. Ease up. Right? So they already started to attack Parry. So as he said, he has committed political suicide. So we know what the outcome will be. Mr. Parry will not come 2025. The constituency of Mayaro is going to have a new representative. There's not going to be Rushton Parry, unless by some miracle he ends up leader of the party before, or he goes to Mrs. Prasad Bissassa and he atones for his sins, genuflects, you know, before her, begs her pardon, and once again pledges fealty to Prasad Bissassa and recommits his testicles to her. Maybe she might forget. Maybe. But the attacks, let me give you all an example. This Rudal Munilal posted yesterday. As deputy political leader of the UNC and a member of Parliament, I express my total support for the political leader, the Honorable Kamla Prasad Bissassa, and my colleagues on the National Executive. We have all functioned to optimal capacity. Well, if that is optimal capacity, Lord help this country. And exerted an intensity that led to a well-received victory in the last local government elections. If delusional was a person. Well-received victory. They continue to you know, and they like to call it PNM a culture. And you know the supporters buying into that BS. That what victory? A well-received victory in the last local government elections. Really? These are the people who in 2010 were able to rout the PNM, got 11 corporations out of 14, and just 3 years later ended up with 6. From 11 to 6. But you know, in that party, less is more. Right? Less is more. In 2019, you all got 202,000 votes without Jack, without Gary, and without the OWTU. In 2023, you had Jack is back, Gary the Great, and the OWTU on your side. And you all got 89,000 votes combined with the NTA. You got less votes less votes and talking about victory. And then you have Jolene John talking nonsense about the UNC's on ascendancy. You fall from 202,000 to 189, and that is ascendancy. Well, like they have a special kind of dictionary. That is what you call dotish with a capital D. There has been no discussion. No, he goes on to say, the party has been highly mobilized and active under the current leadership. Internal elections will be held according to our party's constitution. Now, he ain't saying, now, from my understanding, and what is in the public domain, this election is due in June. Right? They're saying, but the argument is we are in an election year, we are not on the general election footing, and therefore we cannot have an internal election in a general election year. Right? Okay, the general election is at least a year and a half away. June is about 3 months away. You're trying to tell me that you all cannot have an internal election in the space of 3 months. How that impacted? Anyway, there has been no discussion or decision to postpone any elections. Regrettably, MP Parrys had a public disclosure on this matter, which is premature and can only seek to destabilize and undermine the party, and in so doing, assist fully the PNM. Winning or losing an election depends on sacrifice, dedication, and hard work each and every day. It is not simply a function of internal elections. We have been able to place the Rowley government on the back foot, and we are in pole position to return to national office. What national office? Which national office? Opposition is national office too. This is not a time to play the fool. Our country's future is at stake. You're damn right. If there's one truth you said in that, country's future is definitely at stake. Even having you all in opposition, in and of itself, is a threat to the country's future. But say what, 300 and something thousand people supporting you. Right. I'm going to play this one. This is another Cravio indulgence morning. I don't know when I say that what I mean. Right? But this is the one morning he ain't cussing Dr. Rowley. Listen. Just get this here. Let me take this off. This one. Don't worry, I don't plan to spend too much time on that this morning. That's a discussion for another time. We have more pressing issues to touch on. Right. So that was the first attack on Parrys, right? Yeah, so Parrys has signed his political death warrant. So I think right now he should be Victor Roberts, the man who was dragging coffin all over the country. The man who, the coffin dragger, has gone against Prasad Bisesa. I heard Google play something, a clip I haven't been able to find, where he did one of his lives and he was saying, you know, we want to kill the PNM for democracy, but in my own party, democracy is a mockery. We don't have it. And he says, and if it have an internal election and I, Victor Roberts, decide I want to go and challenge for a position, they will say the nastiest, stinkiest, dirtiest things about me. Why is that, Victor? Why would they say the nastiest, dirtiest, stinkiest things about you? Weren't you the same person, Victor, who sacrificed at the altar of expediency? You went and get coffin. You put pictures of the Prime Minister, the President, members of Cabinet, and so on in this coffin and dragging it all over the country. At one point in time, you were arm in arm with Kamla Prasad Bisesa and Jolene John, dragging coffin all over the country. So you don't have faith in your leader anymore after you do all those shenanigans? You don't have faith in Mrs. Prasad Bisesa anymore? Why? Why would who exactly would call you the nastiest, stinkiest, dirtiest names? Is there not a democracy in the UNC? Remember, Rowley is the dictator, not Kamla. Kamla loves everybody. No one will ever love you as I love you. All of me loves all of you. You know, she waxing poetic, quoting lines from songs like that. But we know plagiarism is her forte, right? So she has no problem quoting lines verbatim from all these R&B songs and so on, and reggae songs, who she love and how she love and love and love. It had love don't live there anymore. It have a vacancy for love, Victor. They kick you out so quick. So Victor, Rushton, Rai Ragbir, Henry Awong. Well, Henry probably toting because after all these years of Henry being the chairman of the Kuva Tabakital Para Regional Corporation. They replaced him unceremoniously with one Ryan Rampasad, right? They didn't get him man a little watch or nothing, a little going away party or nothing. Thank you for service. It's just okay. We've had enough of you, right? Bust it. Bust your kite. You get your Kobo sweat. Leave. So now he has thrown in his lot with Rushton Parry, and a few other names were mentioned as well. But all of these persons, I suppose, over the course of the next few days, will be paying a visit to the political cemetery to pick out the plots. Yeah. So who looking for the big tree? I want my grave under the big tree. Right. Yeah, this plot here looking nice, man. So all of these folks, that's what's going to happen. Yeah. So who looking to see where Basan Barat headstone is? Where Fuad Khan headstone is? Let me see. Yeah, I don't mind going down next to Vasant. So all of these now, I saw a newspaper article this morning saying 12 MPs have thrown their support behind Prasad Bisesa. Of course, no surprise there, because they owe their political life to Prasad Bisesa. They know if it is that they go against her, that's the end of it, that's the end of their political career. Because as long as she remains leader, she will decide who will contest the next general election. Simple as that. There's no democracy there. It's not as what obtains in the PNM, where our political leader, Dr. Rowley, gave up, and was it Mr. Mane? I think it was Mr. Mane who gave up the veto of the political leader. I'm not too sure. It could be. I stand to be corrected. But we have I think it was Dr. Rowley who would have introduced the one-man, one-vote and done away with the delegate system that existed before. But we have a screening committee who will select. In that party is what the leaders say. So if the leaders pick you, hard luck. You could be the best candidate. Once it is you're not willing to toe the line and you are country before party, salt. Salt. So right now, the political cemetery very soon is going to have a lot of new bodies, new cadavers coming there, right? So, yeah. There's funerals galore. So I think sometime the middle of next month, Brian told me, is when when nominations close, and then they begin screening in May. So Rushton needs to start packing up his Jahaji bundle. And he and Rai Ragbir and the rest of them, Dinesh Rambali, because under the Mahasabha is at war with the UNC. They are at war with Rudal Munilal. In fact, what I found to be most interesting was a few days ago when Dinesh Rambali was interviewed, I think it was on I-95, with respect to this whole debacle involving Rudal Munilal and this matter about naming the Ramai Trace Hindu School after Rudal Munilal, where the current leadership of the Mahasabha is insistent that is not going to happen. And whatever SAT had promised whoever, that decision was never ratified by the executive of the Mahasabha. But further to that, what was most instructive is that Rambali indicated one of the concerns the Mahasabha has about naming the Ramai Trace Hindu School after Rudal Munilal is the fact that Munilal currently is before the courts on a civil matter, and he is accused of a number of things, including fraud and bid rigging and all of these things. And they don't think that somebody who is currently before the courts facing such allegations is a good role model for children. And therefore, they're not inclined to name the school after him, somebody who is currently before the court. Now, to me, that speaks volumes, because there was a time when the Mahasabha used to defend the UNC. All the wrongdoing that was happening in the UNC, they still stood firm with them. But now, that is not the case. Sat gone. And it seems VJ, his son, is hell-bent on carrying out. Remember at one time, when Sat had followed with Kamla, he said he was going to free up the Hindu vote. No longer are people going to vote based on race and religion and gender. Vote for the party that you think could best serve the country. That was Sat. And then, of course, we know he reneged on that after he and Kamla patch up things. But it does seem that VJ not about that. So the Mahasabha put it in writing, They put out a press release indicating they have concerns about these allegations of wrongdoing on the part of Rudal Munilal. And Dinesh Rambali, who is his parliamentary colleague and I think assistant secretary to the Mahasabha and also some legal counsel as well, he said that in a radio interview, they have concerns, all these things, that all these allegations against Rudal Munilal. So when it is that you have somebody who's a sitting UNC MP is telling you he and others have concern that Rudal Munilal may very well be guilty of these things, speaks volumes. Once upon a time, yesterday was yesterday, but today is not today. So, oh my, how things have changed. Meanwhile, in the PNM, we sitting down with our large Coke and popcorn and we just observing what's taking place. Doing the country's work. But I come into that just now. I get it say. So, more verbal licks for Rushton. I find this one take long. Let's see. Right. Cut this thing here. Crave your indulgence.
Future leader, the man who wants to lead the United National Congress. I'm a member and he ain't going nowhere. Can I just ask you a question, Rushton Parry? Approximately a year and 2 months ago, the Electoral College was called in order to elect a president of the Republic of Trinidad and Tobago. And the PNM under Keith Rowley was doing the dastardly, insipid, disgusting trampling on the Constitution by nominating an underqualified preacher of the gospel of the PNM, Christine Kangaloo, who had oppressed the UNC opposition in the Senate, including my good self, where on one occasion in a 30-minute period, she got up without the PNM calling standing orders and interrupted me 21 times. On a debate on immigration, she stopped me to say, Senator Roberts, just because the bill has the word immigration in it, doesn't mean you can debate anything and everything on immigration. That oppressive, vindictive, PNM malicious woman. And our UNC team caucused, we discussed, names were offered, suggestions for an alternative person to be at the helm of the country, to be the president. You were not in those meetings, Mr. Rushton Parry. Team UNC went down strong into the Electoral College. We believed with 19 strong parliamentarians duly elected and 6 powerful UNC senators to at least show the country's strength, unity, and that we were averse to the trampling of the Constitution by planting a Balize PNM flag on President's house. Somehow, 3 ballots were spoiled, which caused the PNM peacock feathers to raise. The Gala Reid, Small Pin, and Fitzgerald at Elbert Hines were laughing at the UNC, at Team UNC, at all the UNC members of parliament and senators, and laughing at the 309,000 people who voted for the UNC. Fitzgerald at Talbot narcolepsy, ride a horse with a boy on his lap in a saddle and enjoy it. Sleepy Sativa Hines and Stuart Smallpin, arrogant, no rhythm dunce, shatter the energy sector. Abusive, dictatorial, Smallpin Young, laughing at Team UNC. Rushton Parry, were you one of the people who spoiled your ballots on that day? Why did you do that? What was the purpose? Why did you not attend the caucus and discuss? Why didn't you alert your teammates who you now want to lead before you embarrass them in front of the whole country to make the PNM, which is the worst government in history, have an opportunity to get one up on the UNC? Was that you? Were you one of those 3 who spoiled the ballot? And now you want to lead the team that you embarrassed? And you caused all the work that we have done to take a pause? You gave us a step backward as each and every one of us work every day, hours a day in all spheres to put the PNM on the back foot in a system that is designed to uphold the PNM and oppress the UNC as the recalcitrant minority? Were you one of those who spoiled your ballot and embarrassed me made me feel shame to watch those PNM gallery, because I am a UNC who you would like to lead. Please, Rushton Parry, answer that question, please. And when the answer is said that you did that, good luck to you, because no one who decimates and disrespects and dishonors a team will ever get people to endorse you to lead that same team. Something is wrong with your thinking and your plan. Bless, have a good morning to all other UNCs, to all other citizens who understand the fight that we are in against an evil, oppressive, potential future.
Right, so if you had any doubts as to Rushton Parry's future, I think that seals it right there. As you know, that is one of Kamala's mouthpieces, even though he hasn't spoken on the forum platform in a little bit. Yeah, this is the man that is hoping that Kamala will give him the nod for St. Joseph, to contest the St. Joseph seat. Now, if the rift between them and now Gary Griffith also, from what I understand, wants the St. Joseph seat as well. We'll see how that works out, but that is their fight. As far as we know, Terrence they are saying, assuming he wants to go, but we have no issues or problems with respect to who we will put up, right? But that's them. So in the coming days, Rushton will get more jamming, along with the rest of them who were brave enough, those who stood up and said, I want back my testicles, right? I fed up. You had it for too long, and I can't take this no more. So try and let me know when I can pass and pick up my cojones, please. So it seems like Mr. Parry making a strong play for his cojones. He seems to have found it again, and therefore he making, yeah. But anyway, so that was Anil and Munila. Two of them. And of course, as I mentioned earlier, Mrs. Prasad Bissessa referred to Mr. Parry and others who are calling for internal elections as wannabes. Relax all yourself. Okay? So anyway, but I digress. A bunch of jokers. So they had a debate, several debates over the last few days. The last week or so has had some rather interesting debates in the parliament. And if you haven't had opportunity or occasion to look at it, I would encourage you to go back and do so. I strongly encourage you to go back and do so. Oh boy. Yes. Last night I started, or earlier this morning, I started looking at the Parliamentary committee that was meeting to discuss the Point 14 Highway and OAS. And thus far, it's been very interesting, but I fell asleep. I really couldn't pull up, but I'm going to pull it up on YouTube and see if I can listen to it in its entirety. So we will discuss that at another time. But I wanted to play something else, right? We had a debate on healthcare. I think it was Friday gone. Friday was Private Members' Day. And so I think the UNC, the motion that they brought was to discuss the situation with respect to the country's health sector.
It's the vaping and young persons and so on, which is a matter I'm sure other colleagues.
So I haven't had opportunity to listen to everybody yet, but I wanted to play just a little bit of Munila. Right? You know, the song says, Trinidad is my land and of it I am proud and glad. But I can't understand why some people just talk it bad. Those are them who run in their mouth. Don't know what they're talking about. They paint here black every day. And the right things they will never say. Count on the UNC to do just that. They are the embodiment of those lines. So listen to just this little piece of Munila, right?
That is a critical issue. Waiting time, not how many times. And I have some, Madam Speaker, in preparation for this debate, I did something which part of me regret. Madam Speaker, as I do, and those of us on this side do, I encourage members of the public, my constituents, and persons in the healthcare system, could you please, debating this matter in the coming days, would you have any policy issues to raise? Would you have any suggestions, recommendations? What was your experience at the public health sector like? And Madam Speaker, I had to take Panadol Ultra when I started to get the replies I myself needed medicated. I needed to take Panadol, non-drowsy. When I started to get the reports, I did not know. I took 2 years, every 4 hours. Madam Speaker, I did not know it was so bad. So I want to tell my friends opposite. Policy, I don't want to academize here, but policy is linked to problem. The reason you have policy is because you have problem. You don't have policy because everything working good. There's no need for policy. Policy is linked in a developmental sense to problem. So if I announce to you now with fanfare that over the last 6 hours, 3 aircrafts landed safely at Piaco International, would you jump up, thumb the table, clap and cheer? No, because we expect that aircrafts would land safely. If I announce that in the last hour an aircraft overran the runway and crashed, that's a serious concern. You jump, you say, no. But you have to find policy for that problem, for a problem. So in the health sector, while I agree there are persons who will visit the health sector, and the Minister of Health and San Fernando West quoted, I think the minister quoted from persons who are writing in, we had a good experience, so thank you for the service and so on. Yes, you will have persons who will go in the health center and come out and say, okay, I had a service provided. But that is your job to provide the service. That is your job. What do you think you're there for? But it's the persons, the citizens, and whether they are 100, 1,000, a million, or whatever, it is the persons who are facing crisis with the system that we must address so that we can match problem to policy. That is the issue. So you cannot just say that, well, 2 people send me up a letter and they say, we did well, the hospital treated me good. And then we come with persons who have clearly had a disappointment in the healthcare system, and a disappointment in the healthcare system is fatal. Huh? You live or you die. So that is an issue I want to put on the table, so that we are not saying that the person A or B may not have an experience that is positive and so on, but you have to focus on the persons who did not have that good experience, did not get the medicine, had to wait and so on. And I will come to some of the anecdotal evidence that came to me from persons writing in. The member spoke, Madam Speaker, I am close to this sector in a way because I spent some good time in government working with the health professionals for the construction of infrastructure for the health sector. I was aware of some of those developments. The member spoke about San Fernando. I'm most aware of San Fernando in particular, where it was under our administration, 2010 to 2015, we established that oncology unit in San Fernando to meet and treat with the patients. When the minister came in, he said he met a shed. He met a shed, promised to build oncology center. Where's the oncology center now? Anybody see it? When it's coming? Oh, in June. Oh, so you, what? Okay, I understand now. No, but it's not, they're not building anything. They're taking Augustus Long Hospital, which is an existing installation, and going to convert it somehow. That is the plan. They're not building anything really. But made this remark, we had a shed. That shed is treating patients today as this debate continues. What the partnership left is treating patients today. And yes, we know the identity of a couple of patients who are being treated at this moment because of the infrastructure left by the People's Partnership Administration. We're very proud of that. We talk about healthcare, and I will focus, Madam Speaker, in my time on some of the issues with health infrastructure, because health infrastructure is linked to healthcare and human resource management in that sector, which appears to be a challenge as well. Madam Speaker, I want to touch something the member for San Fernando West and government ministers will be talking about. It's free. It's free. It's free. If we treat people in this country and it's free, they come to the hospital, they get their tablet, they get their pills, they get to see a doctor in a white coat, and it's free. Madam Speaker, it is not free. We pay health surcharge, we pay taxes. The man or woman who presents himself herself at the hospital door pay health surcharge, taxes in most cases. So it is not free.
So that's Munilal there, right? So the first thing I note there, he talked about the wait time at the hospital and so on. And when you listen to these guys, they will paint a picture as if the health sector in Trinidad and Tobago is worst in the whole world. And the problems that we experience here doesn't exist anywhere else. In the more developed countries, the US, Canada, the UK, and so on, the health sector is perfect. No wait time. As soon as you walk in the hospital, even before you walk in the door, somebody had telepathy. They know, hey, look, a man coming in with the big toaster. This man blood pressure high. Send out somebody to stand out in front of the hospital and wait. So as soon as he pull up, we could put him in a wheelchair and take him inside and deal with it. Right? That is the impression you get from these people. Let me just read this quickly. This is January 14, 2014. Right? Article by one Anna Ramdas. Express. The people of this country are lazy, making themselves sick, and have created a crisis where the hospitals are packed to capacity, says Health Minister Dr. Fuad Khan. Khan said in a telephone interview that all the hospitals, including Port of Spain General, San Fernando General, Eric Williams Medical Sciences Complex, Mount Hope, and even the hospital in Arima are filled, and the problem of bed shortage has worsened. Worsened, not gotten better. But when you listen to them, you swear between 2010 to 2015, Trinidad and Tobago was a veritable utopia. It had no problems. Every single sector was working beautifully. That's why they get 1-2. The minister said the crisis has been fueled by people's unhealthy lifestyles, coupled with an inefficient process at the hospitals, where patients are being kept for longer than was necessary. He says, I am looking around now and I realize unhealthy lifestyles are taking off even faster. The more I talk about it, the more people are making sure they lead unhealthy lifestyles. I think people have gotten very lazy. So once you have gotten lazy mentality and physically, and you continue along that trend, the crisis continues, said Khan. This problem, he said, has reached epidemic stage, noting that in affluent countries such as the United States, hospital admissions are on the increase because of unhealthy lifestyles. He noted that admissions to hospitals in Cuba were lower, where the people are healthier. Khan said in this country, people are making themselves ill by failing to eat properly and not exercising. He said if we have the unhealthy lifestyles kicking off as we do now, then we are going to have hospitals with one bed for every member of the population, because they will need it if they continue with this trend they are going, and the population do not listen to the message we are sending out. Love yourself, eat right, exercise, and decrease your sugar and salt intake, said Khan. He said most of the admissions in the hospitals were actually readmissions, where weeks after week, the same people return because they do not take their medication properly and continue leading their lives without any change for the better in terms of diet and nutrition. Khan said this was causing not only pressure on the public health system, but a drain on the treasury. This is 2014. This is not Terence Dale Singh speaking here. He said the fast food industries and other industries are making a ton of money while the taxpayers are paying for their indulgences. Khan expressed disappointment and frustration at the situation, citing instances where patients are being kept at hospitals for months because of an inefficient system whereby they are waiting to have an X-ray or CT scan done. Really? You mean to tell me between 2010 to 2015, people were waiting months in the hospital to get an X-ray or a CT scan? I thought that it's only happened under the PNM. Under the UNC, them thing don't happen. The health sector is perfect. He said doctors need to ensure that the proper investigations are carried out quickly so that there is more fluidity and patients can be treated and then sent to the clinic for follow-up care. Khan said there was no maximum period as to how long a patient can stay at a hospital, but there is a situation where people overdo it and hog beds because of the system. Asked if he has not intervened and given instructions that there be more efficiency and speed in the process, Khan responded, I have been fast-tracking and instructing for 2.5 years, but nothing is happening. Really? Really? You giving instruction to public servants and they ain't taking you on? Oh my gosh, but I thought that has only happened under the PNM. He said disciplinary action cannot be taken because all these doctors are given high performance appraisals. Wow. He added that there is a high admission rate on weekends because he understands that doctors do not work on Saturday and Sunday, so patients are not attended to until Monday. Date of this article, may remind all you, January 14th, 2014. Who was the Prime Minister? Kamla Prasad Bisesar. Who was the Minister of Health? Fuad Khan. Minister of Housing? Rudal Munilal. They just say the health sector is dear to him, close to him, because he worked with, with respect to the development of infrastructure for the health sector. But as I'm on that point, I'll come back to that. Let me just say quickly.
Imagine you're driving through a tunnel in rush hour traffic and suddenly lose your vision and the use of the right side of your body. That was reality for a Metro Vancouver man who suffered a stroke while driving and says the nightmare only got worse from there, telling CTV News no ambulance came to help. CTV's Kevin Chirac has the story.
On March 13th, Lane French was driving to pick up his parents from the airport when a coughing fit turned into something much worse.
And then about 20 seconds later, it's like I got hit right here, but like kicked, but inside.
He says he was traveling about 80 kilometers per hour entering the Massey Tunnel during the rush hour counterflow.
Everything just started sloping.
He's disoriented, his vision blurred, the right side of his body paralyzed as he fights for his life.
Snapped back and then drifted back. Snapped back and then drifted back. I couldn't stop. I couldn't see. The world was spinning. At that point, it had gone from like this to a full washing machine look.
Making it through the tunnel feels like an eternity, but using only his left foot and arm, he manages to pull off at the first exit, calling for help. A Good Samaritan dials 911. About 15 minutes later, French calls as well.
And I waited, and I waited, and I waited. I called them again.
Over an hour goes by, he eventually receives a call back.
You know, one of the suggestions I get is drive yourself to the hospital.
French had suffered a stroke. His parents eventually cabbed from the airport to drive him to Richmond General Hospital, where he waited some more.
It was 1 a.m. before I saw a doctor.
Receiving a diagnosis and blood thinner medication nearly 24 hours after the stroke.
It illustrates that the healthcare system is broken.
French took his story to his local MLA, Ian Patton, a member of BC United.
We will be bringing this as a question period, like to the Minister of Health. Tell us what is going on with our healthcare system.
In a statement, BC Emergency Health Services tells CTV News that French's 911 call was coded yellow, meaning non-urgent, and that it was dealing with heavy call volumes that day. French disagrees with the response.
You know, that whole system of we've got you when you're in a dire need, they didn't. Nobody came. They left me abandoned on the side of a road to figure out my own way.
Kevin Chirac, CTV News, Tawasin.
That's Canada. Right? You didn't see a doctor, he had a stroke, and didn't see a doctor. The stroke like around 6:30. He arrived in the hospital and didn't see a doctor until after 1 in the morning. Right? 24 hours later, they did a CT scan or whatever and gave him some medication, blood thinners for the stroke. Canada. But they saw it fit to come on Friday and to have a whole motion, private members' day, to talk about the state of healthcare in Trinidad and Tobago, to malign the state of healthcare. Right? When they were in office, they built one hospital, Couva Children's Hospital, and that was a misnomer. I don't know why they called it Children's Hospital, because the fact of the matter is that the hospital intended to have more beds for adults than children. But you know, with them, everything attached the word children to it. And there is a certain level of sentimentality. You see, the UNC cares so much about children, and Kamala so care about the children and the children and the children. Not everything is the children and the children. Just mention that. Cabinet note number 1 dealt with the Children's Life Fund. Yes, because she was so committed to helping the children, but yet still, you always sending children to cut-rate hospitals in Colombia. Hospital that you know was no damn good. But just to say, look, when children we can't get the healthcare here, we send them. And thank God, Kamala established the Children's Life Fund. Since six children died in a cut-rate hospital in Colombia, when you could have sent them to the US. And when questions were asked, so why didn't you send them to the US? And I said, well, it was cheaper to send them to Colombia. Cheaper. But you so care about the children, right? $6 million you spend on helicopter rides, 450 something hours of flight or something, so missions or whatever it is. $6.1 million in helicopter rides. But it was too expensive to send these children to the US to get proper treatment so that their ailment could have been cured and they could be alive today, safe in the arms of their parents. So you have 6 sets of parents who lost their children between 2010 to 2015. Why? Because the state found it was too expensive to send them to the best hospitals. Meanwhile, we pay $175 million for a piece of land valued at $52 million, but we love the children and we care about them, right? But it was too expensive to send them to the US. So send them to this fly-by-night hospital in Colombia. Not 1, not 2, not 3, not 4. 6 of them died, but they sent more to this hospital. Fortunately, the others were able to survive. It was too expensive to send them to the US. But we could have fined $20+ million for the happiness campaign to run an ad to tell you and me what it means to be happy. But that was proper expenditure of monies. We could have fined $1 million to buy Fed tickets for the South Cancer Fed so that ministers and their friend and family and the financiers could go and wind down the place and have a good time and eat and drink the best and listen to the best soca music and the best performances. But meanwhile, you had children lying sick on a bed in Colombia, right? The parents have no idea that they were on their last legs. But it was too expensive to send them to the US because we had more important and pressing things to spend money on. And yeah, like paying $350,000 for roti, retaining the services of 3 contractors, but only one of them bring roti, but we pay everybody. All 3 get paid, but only one bring roti. To take taxpayers' money to throw Big Bram at the diplomatic center for the Syrian Lebanese community so that you could give a speech and tell the country if it is we were to emulate the example of the Syrian Lebanese community. Trinidad and Tobago will be a better, brighter, happier, more wealthy nation. Meanwhile, you that money to send the children to a proper hospital in the US so they could get proper care and have a chance at a normal life. Yeah, couldn't do that, but we could spend $15 million to go on a visa-time trip to India. And you could find the money to lease a jumbo jet to go to China, India, Brazil, South Africa, Australia, but you couldn't find the money for these 6 children to send them to a proper hospital. But all they want to come in the Parliament Friday and have debate and motion about the state of the healthcare system in this country. But as I mentioned before, as I was on the topic of infrastructure, as Munilal mentioned, let me touch on that. So in the debate on, I believe it was it Friday? I think it was, no, this was in the Senate, so this would have been on Tuesday. So they bring back Gopi Singh again as a temporary senator. I ain't see or hear from Damian Lida in a while, so I don't know if it is he in the Dove House or whatever, but he has been conspicuously absent for the last how many debates. But anyway, so they bring Gopi Singh to talk. And Gopi Singh has the audacity, the temerity, and the effrontery to come and talk about how much money this government borrowed between 2015 to 2024, and how much money we pay in interest, and all of that. But then he decided to talk about development, and development UNC style. And he went so far, as is the norm, to talk about what they build, how much hospital they build, and what they built while they were in office, and the people could see what they built and where the money went. And the first thing he mentioned, of course, was the Cuba Children's Hospital. And then he mentioned, as is the norm, ARA Hospital. That they built the ARA Hospital. They built the Point Fortin Hospital. And they completed the tender document also for the Sangre Grande Hospital. Now, they can't claim that they built the Grande Hospital because we know the Grande Hospital, construction of the Grande Hospital didn't start until well into this administration's term, right? So they can't claim for that one. But they're saying they built ARA Hospital, they built Point Fortin Hospital. They've been repeating that. And I was surprised the other day when I was listening again, when I had some time to waste, to Professor Misinformation and Captain Clueless on 91.9, where you would have someone calling to make the claim that, oh, it was the UNC that built the ARA Hospital, and he living in ARA, and he know, and they build the hospital thing and whatnot. And I'm saying, where these blasted liars has come from? Where you all has come from? Well, let me address that issue once and for all. Right? But even in the face of facts, the supporters will still come and give you that BS. Let me read this here. This is an article dated Wednesday, the 10th of June, 2020, titled ARA Hospital $200 million under budget. Health Minister Terence Dayal-Singh said the newly opened ARA General Hospital was completed under budget to the tune of $200 million. He said there was no reduction in the square footage or number of beds from the original design. He said the original price was $1,853,359,751.52, VAT inclusive, and government was able to reduce this to $1,601,276,000. He said the ministry was able to negotiate with Udicot to reduce consultancy fees which led to these savings. The Alsing said there are rumors that the hospital was financed by cash obtained from the breeding of the NGC. He laid out financing was obtained for the project, how financing was obtained for the project. He said the finance minister went to Republic Bank on July 18, 2018, to take out a loan for $199,641,382. He went to Ansa Merchant Bank for a loan of US $99,601 on October 18, 2018. On July 29, 2019, he went to RBC, Royal Bank, for a loan of US $16,941,700. And through the public sector investment program, $609 million was sourced. He said designs were substantially completed in January of 2016. Let me read that again. He said designs were substantially completed in January of 2016. Designs. The election was September 7, 2015. Somebody needs to let the UNC know that 15 comes before 16. Construction started in March 2016. Let me repeat that. Construction started in March of 2016. The topping off ceremony for the roof took place on September 20th, 2017, and the project was handed over on June 4th, 2020. Construction started in March of 2016. So I don't understand how Gopi Singh could stand up in the Senate and say they built the ARA Hospital when construction of the hospital started some 6 months after they demitted office. But they have been perpetrating and perpetuating this blasted lie for the longest while. Construction of the Point Fortin Hospital started after the ARA Hospital. So I don't know how the hell they could say they built the ARA Hospital. But when you're desperate to say you build this and you build that, because people asking where the money went, aside from all the billions that you all got in energy revenues, when you took the exchequer account from $10 billion in overdraft in 2010 to $33 billion in overdraft in 2015, and we don't know what happened where that $23 billion went, in addition to all the other monies that you all spent. You borrowed $1 billion from the Chinese for the Cuba Hospital. They borrowed money from the Chinese for the National Aquatic Center. They borrowed money from the Chinese for the Cycling Center, right? They took $7 billion from the Treasury to build the Point Fortin Highway. But come and talk and challenge this government about borrowing money for development and want to define what development means. And development means it had improvement in the lives of the citizens and so on. That was their idea of development, right? That was their idea of development. And they continue to lie. Oh, they built 106 schools. Where does 106 schools are? Where located? Every time they come with this nonsense, and Gopi Singh should recall that the last time he raised that issue in the lower house, in May of 2019, right after he finished speaking, the then Minister of Education, Anthony Garcia, got up and rubbished that argument. Right? He came prepared with his document and read out the whole list of schools and all the schools that had been started under the Manning administration, that they came in and met and finished. And the ones that were started under the Manning administration, that they came in and didn't do anything and left it, such as the school that should have been St. Joseph Secondary, the Shell, the school that Mr. Manning built. And when they came in, the biggest issue they had with it was something to do with the air conditioning and the award of a contract for the air conditioning, and they will never open the school. Today it is a shell. Vandalized. Monctope, the new Monctope school that Mr. Manning built, the Five River school that Mr. Manning built, left abandoned. But they want to come and tell you how much school they built and Rowley leave the school and his vindictiveness and wickedness because the UNC built it, they didn't want to open it. But we know very early on in the life of this administration, we were told when they came in that a lot of the schools that were started under the People's Partnership would complete it because the contractors stopped work on the projects because they were owed some $3 billion. $3 billion had to be found to pay the contractors to finish these schools. And when money wasn't forthcoming, the contractors down tools and they left the school as is. So they built in school, but no financing, no funding for the school. It's the same thing with the ARA Hospital. I just read for you there what the Minister of Health told us of all how Mr. Imbert had to go and find finance and go to Answer Merchant Bank and RBC and Republic Bank and all of these places to scrape together to get money to finish the ARA, to build the ARA Hospital. They turned sod in a big way on the 7th of May 2015, but no financing in place to build the hospital. But they built it. But they built. In their imagination, they built it. So desperate are they now to say, well, look, we built. And this is where the money went. Mr. Chance asked me to touch on this issue of finances and so on. Let me just read this for you. Because these people continue with their foolishness. I heard Jolene John in the debate on Tuesday or whenever, saying that this government spent $500 billion in the last 9 years, $500 billion on what we have to show for it. And then you have Jayanti Lakshmi, fast and out of place, get up to talk about, Mr. President, what have they built? What have they built? You know, a friend of mine called me recently and he said to me, at least under Patrick Manning, you could see where the money went because he built the waterfront and he built the Hyatt and he built government campus and he built Napa and Sapa, so you could see where the money went. But what Rowley built in the last 9 years, Rowley built nothing and the PNM built nothing. I'm saying, y'all, is it that Jayanti Lakshmi is she auditioning for Clown of the Year? Is she just delusional? I noticed she looked like she was child, which explains why she rushed the other day to get married, because I found those nuptials were very sudden. So I don't know if it is she didn't want to have the child out of wedlock or whatever. That's not my business, but she looking a little full, right? So I don't know if it is that maybe that affecting her brain, that you come in to talk stupidness about what this government build and what they spend the money on. Only for real? For the UNC supporters listening, let me read something for you. Right? This is a Sunday Express article dated Sunday, the 6th of October, 2019. And the headline is, in 4 budgets, 186 billion on recurrent expenditure, 15.5 billion on capital expenditure, 202.3 billion spent in total. Right? Look at it. You see, I had this article say for a while. That's why the news is looking yellow. Right? For the past 4 years, the government has spent or budgeted to spend about 202.3 billion. It has taken on 24 billion in additional debt. On the 202.3 billion spent in 2016 to 2019 fiscal years, over 186.8 billion or 92% was in recurrent expenditure. 92.4% was on recurrent expenditure. That is money spent on wages, salaries, transfers, subsidies, goods and services, and on interest payments. Only 7.6% of the 202.3 billion or 15.5 billion was used for capital expenditure and net lending, according to the July Economic Bulletin published by the Central Bank. 92.4% of the budget for over 4 years, the money spent by this government in the first 4 years in office, went to recurrent expenditure. Wages and salaries, transfers and subsidies, because everybody wants a government work. Everybody wants a government work, right? Transfers and subsidies, well, we know what that means. Water subsidized, electricity subsidized, fuel subsidized, transportation subsidized. So you hop on the plane to go to Tobago, that is subsidized. You hop on the ferry, that is subsidized as well. The government has to provide money for public assistance, pension, other social welfare grants such as the food card. They have to provide support for the different grants. So the house grant, your house in a mess, your roof in a mess, you need some money, they give you $15,000. All of these different things. This is what the bulk of the government's money. So when they're asking where the money went, and where the money went, first 4 years. But how much did they spend? Let me go ahead. In comparison, after 4 years in office, the People's Partnership had spent 223.49 billion, according to the review of the economy. So the PNM spent 202 in 4 years. The People's Partnership in 4 years spent 223, $21 billion more than the People's National Movement spent in the first 4 years in office. $21 billion more. Not million. And they love to say billion. But they wouldn't talk about that. What was that money spent on? What was it spent on? At least we know the People's National Movement under Keith Rowley gave us the ARA Hospital, Point Fortin Hospital, Roxborough Hospital. Construction started on the Grandy Hospital. We had Central Block, right? But that wasn't in the first place. But we had Carenage Police Station, Diego Martin Health Center on Wendy Fitzwilliam Boulevard that some people say look like a hospital. Under the People's Partnership, the Carenage Police Station was a police post in a house, on a street, a residential street, a house on a residential street. Today they have their own police station on the main road. Right? We got, since they want to talk that talk, where the money went, and where the money went. But anyway, let me continue a little bit here. I could easily have resorted to political bacchanal, picong, and rhetoric, and the statement could have been taken the form of a fiery campaign speech on a political platform. In fact, there are sections of the society who would wish me to do so. So angry are they at the travesty that has passed for government in the last 5 years and 3 months. This is Mr. Imbert speaking here. In his maiden budget address in October 2015 entitled Restoring Confidence and Rebuilding Trust. Thus far, his 4 budgets can be fairly summarized as an ode to the past, a pat on the back to the present, and optimism for policies he believed would inject life into the economy. So, Mr. Imber's budget expenditures in 2016, the budget was 52.9 billion. 2017, 49.7 billion. 2018, 47.6. 2019, 52. Under the PP, it was 60, 63, 61, 64. What we get for that? Under Keith Rowley, we got 3 brand new ferries. We got the Galleons Passage, we got the APT James, and the Boko Reef. How many we got under the UNC? None. Instead, the 2 that they inherited from Mr. Manning, they ran it to the ground. Every time the vessels were supposed to go for dry dock for maintenance, they kept requesting extension and extension and extension until when this administration came in, no more extensions to be had. The vessels had to go on dry dock. And by that time, as I always say, one was in HDU and one was in ICU. Only one could have been saved. Throwing the sea bridge in jeopardy. And this government got blamed for that. Today, the UNC still blaming this government. They mash up the sea bridge, they mash up the sea bridge, and they mash up the Tobago economy. But the men and women of letters will never talk and speak about how we got to that point. How we got to that point. Right? They don't talk about that. They didn't even look for one brand new, one vessel. Not one. They gave us the Superfast Galicia that was supposed to be the be all and end all, which was in fact a cargo vessel. Wasn't transporting passengers. The only passengers on the Superfast Galicia were the truck drivers. But the Superfast Galicia that they wanted to talk about Rowley and them said back the Superfast Galicia and the Mitsubishi Bridge. But wouldn't talk about the role that they played in destroying the TNT Spirit and the Express. But this government spent money to do that. And then they had the audacity and the effrontery to write a letter to the Australian government to complain. Or was it Australian to complain or to allege bubble and corruption between the government of Trinidad and Tobago and the government of procurement of these 2 vessels? But they love the country. They are patriots. Don't say we are not patriotic. And don't say they're not patriotic. So 223 billion, well, 223.49, so $223.5 billion they spent in the first 4 years. As opposed to 202 under Keith Rowley. In that first 4 years, Keith Rowley and his administration had to find the money to pay the back pay from the pay raise that Kamala and her party gave to the public servants, the 14% that they love to crow about. Right? So Keith Rowley had to find the money to pay the back pay, and he had to find the money to pay the new salaries, which is included in this $202.3 billion that was spent here. So when you see they're talking here, wages and salaries, transfers and subsidies, they gave the pay raise, they're happy about that. Thought it would give them a second term in office. But Keith Rowley and his administration had to come in and find the money to pay the billions in back pay and to pay the new salaries as well. But when Mr. Imbert tells you that we have his money left, nothing for you. So unless you could come with some kind of collateral for me to leave the tap on a little bit, so you could get a little drip Hard luck. Find money elsewhere. Where is this thing? Let me see if I find it. So, give me 1 second. Right. So again, the hypocrisy of this party. When it is that their political leader could have admitted in her response to the budget speech in 2015, admitting, so let me get it here. Where is it? Where is it? Right. Expenditure PP government. This is Kamala Prasad Bissasa's speech. Her reply to the budget in 2015. How did we as a government spend money during our 5-year term? The propaganda is that we wasted money and that we were corrupt. But let us look at the facts of the context. Between 2010 and 2015, we spent approximately $290 billion, a far cry from the campaign rhetoric of $400 billion. So she said in her 2015 response to the budget that her government spent $290 billion. But last week, Tuesday, Jolene John said they spent $350 billion. Jolene John said that the People's Partnership spent $350 billion in their 5 years. Kamala said it was $290. That's a difference of $60 billion or 1 year's budget with a budget. So I don't know who lying, if it was Kamala lying in her speech or if it was Jolene lying. But somebody lying, because 290 and 350, big difference. Most of that money, here it is, most of that money was spent on recurrent expenditure, which are wages and salaries, goods and services, interest payments for both domestic and foreign loans, and subsidies and transfers. Indeed, when all is said and done, less than $50 billion has been spent on capital expenditure, which address the matter of the infrastructure deficit in the country. When we talk numbers, the financial deficit is important, but we focus on development, then the infrastructure deficit becomes important. And the only way a government can deal with an infrastructure deficit is to spend the money. You cannot build a highway to Point Fortin or Diego Martin or build a Valencia bypass or build an interchange and Diego Martin highway without spending money. You can't build 100+ schools without spending money. You can't build hospitals and health centers and police stations and secondary roads and agriculture roads and drains and bridges and fixed landscapes without spending money. You can't today travel the country and see what we spent it on. So she admitted, right? Wages and salaries, transfers and subsidies. The same level, well, not the same level. Because this government has had to pay billions in interest every year. I think Gopi Singh made mention of it on Tuesday. $5 billion in interest for the year on loans. $5 billion in interest on loans. Loans that this administration inherited from them. Because based on my reading and research, the loan that they took from the Chinese to build the Cuba Children's Hospital, payments on that loan started in 2018. Right? 2018. All of the short-term loans that they took in the few months leading up to the general election so that they could pay legal briefs, so that they could pay the contractor for them. In case we ain't get back in office, pay we up front and make sure they pass all the money, because you know when Rowley and them come in, you hear what they say. They're going to investigate this and they're going to investigate that and they're going to do audit on this, that, the other, and the next. So let me get we money. I gave you all the figures. $10.6 billion was spent in September of 2015. $10.6 billion. So they make sure they spend out all the money. Give it out to their friends and family and financiers. And the greed, these folks still want to go to the court now to challenge the government. EMBD, right? How many of them, Calco and Namalco and all of them, who settled for tens of millions of dollars less than what they were claiming for? I think, if memory serves me correctly, Calco had taken Wassa to court for some 80-something million or so and settled for 50 million less. Who does that? Who does that? You are owed 80-something million, but you will settle for 34? Really? Who does that? And then Amalco, I think they settled for something like $1 billion less than was 400 something million they got, but they had taken the government to court for 1.2 billion or so. Who does that? Who does that? If your claims are legitimate, you're supposed to go the full gamut because you have your bills and you could show this is the work that we did, this is justified, and therefore I am owed this money. Go to court, take it all the way to the Privy Council. If it is that you know that your claims are above board and legit, but you settling for $800 million less? Really? But put them back in office. They want to come back in office in 2025. To do that and more. All the people who they were paying with the Point 14 hospital, Point 14 highway, acquiring properties that did not need to be acquired, properties that was not passing anywhere close to where the highway route was, but we acquiring properties and paying family members in the same household, everybody getting paid for the same property. So property valued at $1 million, we have 5 members of the house, everybody gonna get $1 million. So at the end of the day, we're paying $5 million for property valued at $1 million. Several instances of that have been cited. Put them back in office in 2025. Because they're not corrupt. Chief Whip is out on bail, $1 million bail for fraud, misbehavior in public office, but put them back in office. Put them back. That making sense, right? That making sense to them. Let's see if I get this thing. I was listening to Professor Misinformation and Captain Clueless on Friday. It's Friday, boy? I think so. Yeah. And I heard a fella call in and he said, I do research, and my research showed me that all over the world, no other country have problems of foreign exchange except Trinidad and Tobago. Nobody else have no shortage of forex except Trinidad and Tobago. I don't know what to say with this government now, but I do my research. Really? Where do that research? Where did that research? In the archives of the UNC? Which I think I read with UNC Cabal this morning stating that he has been reliably informed that I am not UNC Cabal, right? For those of you who want to give me that title, I am not. So he said he's reliably informed that soon enough they will be receiving an eviction notice, and so they will be moving headquarters again. So like the littlest hobo, maybe tomorrow I'll want to settle down. Until tomorrow, I'll just keep moving on. Yeah? So it looks like they'll be moving on again. Knocking from pillar to post. After 35 years as a party, they're still homeless. Let me read this. Guyana should not have currency shortage with 700% increase in exports. Norton. Opposition leader Aubrey Norton has expressed concern over complaints of foreign currency shortages in Guyana. The lack of US dollars at cambios has been persistent, although government officials continue to deny the existence of the issue. During his contribution to the 2024 budget debate on Friday, Norton stated, a major lifeblood of our economy is international trade. As a country that relies heavily on foreign trade, we must be concerned as to what the changes in our economy mean for the acquisition and distribution of foreign currency. He explained that the new concentration of the economy reveals that 2 industries, oil and gold, generated 94% of foreign earnings in 2023. He said the existing data suggests that oil can exceed the 90% share of foreign earnings that it was responsible for in 2023 in the near future. And to this end, Norton said, while we bask as a country in the financial glow of the oil industry, one must wonder what role the current policy on the management and use of foreign-generated earnings might be playing in determining access to foreign currency for the business community and the wider society. This is another issue not addressed in the budget. The leader of the opposition said it is important and incumbent on the government to manage the situation properly so that the local private sector can access foreign exchange to grow their businesses. According to him, shortage of foreign currency should not abound in a country where export revenues have grown by over 700% in less than 4 years, and its trade balance has shifted from a deficit in 2019 to a surplus of over US $6.5 billion in 2023. He noted that by blindly supporting the investment priorities of the government, private sector entities might be serving as the architect of their own inability to access foreign currency to conduct their business. Norton reasoned the government's insistence that cement, sand, and stone must dominate the consumption pattern of the country or to cause consternation among Guyanese. Our foreign exchange management must facilitate the development of the local private sector in the non-infrastructure sector. This is Guyana. Guyana is complaining, right? Their opposition leader is crying out on behalf of the business community, the private sector. Shortage of US dollars in Guyana, where they have all the oil. All the oil you could think about. Every day you pick up the newspapers, you go on social media, you're reading another oil find, another oil find. But they have a shortage of currency. But this man called the radio station to say he do research. And no other country in the world have a foreign exchange shortage except Trinidad and Tobago. Meanwhile, just over the pond, right next door, the next country, the country that is fancy to be the next Dubai of the Caribbean, United States of the Caribbean, is having challenges for foreign exchange, in particular, US dollars. A friend of mine who is a Trini, who went to Guyana to try and start a business there, said that his business was scuttled. Why? Because they couldn't get US dollars. Could not get US dollars in Guyana. But it's only in Trinidad that has happened. And we ain't get no foreign direct investment. Guyana gets in foreign direct investment like that. Everybody and their mother want to open a hotel in Guyana, right? Because they anticipate the inflow of persons who will be coming into Guyana to do business in the energy sector and the tourism sector and whatever else in the coming years. But they're fighting for foreign exchange. But the UNC doing research. They're doing research. And nowhere else in the world is have a foreign exchange shortage except for Trinidad. Okay. Right. Now, this is one of the issues that they will talk. You see, and this is the point that I keep making, right? We need to be wary of people like this. Programs like that. For 5 days, well, I think they lost the Saturday show. So for 5 days for the week, 3 hours every afternoon, you are being fed a constant diet of lies, misinformation, and propaganda by two men who are totally clueless, ignorant of the truth and ignorant of the facts, and people who ought to know the truth, like Wall Street, who should call in and tell the truth, but continue to prop up this campaign of misinformation. You have an ex-son who goes by the name of Brooklyn. Every time he calls in, I just get frustrated. Right? They are crossing the US how long now? Paying taxes to the US. They contribute nothing to the economy of Trinidad and Tobago. Save and except from time to time when Wall Street decide he want to engage in some degree of charity and probably send some money to do some hampers. But he has been over there since he was 17 years old, I believe it is. All of his working life, he has contributed to the Treasury of the United States of America. But all up in Trinidad and Tobago business and want to tell our government how to run the country. And want to talk about property tax, and he doing all kind of research about property tax all over the world so that he could come and malign Trinidad and Tobago. Right? He could come and malign Trinidad and Tobago, but then studying what's going on in the country in which he is living. He is more US than Trini. He spent 17 years of his life in Trinidad and Tobago. He's 60-something years now. So the majority of his life was spent in the United States of America. He's a US citizen. But want to come and run his mouth to tell us how we should run, how our government, how they should run this country. All because you wanted a building and you ain't get it. Suffering from didn't get. Plenty of them suffering from a severe case of didn't get and vexed with the government because of that. We don't need your advice, right? We don't need your advice. So when it is that I see the UNC Facebook pages sharing things that he creates, right? Clip of Dr. Rowley talking and making his contribution to the property tax debate. And then saying that Dr. Rowley lied when Dr. Rowley made this statement that all over the world people pay property tax. He going to do research to see which country they don't pay property tax in and all kind of thing, and Dr. Rowley caught in a lie and all of that. Really? Wall Street? You serious? You can't be for real. You cannot be serious. We don't need your advice here. You make no contribution financially to the coffers of Trinidad and Tobago. Study the fact that as soon as you walk out your door, if you go to the grocery, you go to church, you go to school, say he's a professor, you could get shot. Study that. Study the fact that meanwhile the Congress, or rather the federal government, is trying to get aid for Ukraine and Israel to the tunes of hundreds of millions or billions of US dollars. You have people living in tents on streets of Los Angeles. That in Florida, the governor just signed a bill which makes it illegal for persons to live on the streets. So he don't care where these people go. You can't stay on the street because you could get locked up. So people who pitch in the tent all over the place, people who would have lost their homes in 2008, 2009 as a result of the global financial crisis and never catch themselves. They lost their homes and they ended up on the street. And here we are some 16 years later, 15, 16 years later, these people still living on the streets. In a country that could print money. In a country that gives away billions of dollars to countries all over the world to improve the standard of living of their citizens. But meanwhile, citizens of the United States who pay tax and who over the years have paid taxes. Some of these people would have fought in wars, veterans who have come back home, don't have a home, they're suffering from post-traumatic stress disorder and living on the streets. Study that. In the country that you have made your home for some 5 decades, miss us with your BS. But you have all the answers, all because you didn't get a building. With respect to the Development Loans Act and the request of the Minister of Finance to increase the borrowing ceiling by $10 billion so that the government can have the financial wherewithal that it needs to provide the citizens with the things that they want. You heard Munilal earlier on talk about, the government, and remember for San Fernando West and all of them will come to say free and healthcare free in Trinidad and Tobago, and all you have to do if you want to go in the hospital to get attended to, and if you need to get a prescription filled, it's free and it's not free because you're paying health surcharge. How much is health surcharge? $432 for the year. $432 for the year in health surcharge. I'm talking about they paying taxes and taxes. Every time they come with that foolish argument, it upsets me. Because thanks to this administration, tens of thousands of people no longer pay income tax. So get that out of the way. So when and then he's talking about he pull his pay slip and he asks the parliament to provide him with his pay slip, and when you look at it, you see that he pays health surcharge. $432 per year. What that could really do? What that could really do? Most of the people, when you go to a private doctor, it's $300 alone for the visit if you're lucky. And probably more than that. When I injured my wrist last weekend and I decided to go to a private health facility in the West, right? Private health facility in the West. As soon as I walk in, first question they ask, you ever been a patient here before? I said, yes, about 3 or 4 years ago. You can see your ID, presented my ID. They look at it right, they pull it up on the system. Okay, we see you here. How will you be paying? Will you be self-funding? You have insurance or whatever it is? I said, yes, I have health insurance. You can see the card. Show them my card, right. They check on the system, they see what it is I'm covered for and whatnot. Up to now, you asked me, what wrong with me? But you want to make sure I could pay first. Right? So you establish, you see, well, yes, you check on the system, okay, right, good. No problem, you can go inside now. Go inside, put you on the bed, right, in the accident and emergency area, they put you in the thing, they pull the curtain, tell you, hold on. Then a nurse come to ask, what is the problem? Right, this is the issue. Take my blood pressure. Okay, all right. Doctor will come and check you just now. Doctor comes in. So what's the situation? What's your complaint? I said, well, I had a little accident. I fell off a ladder and have some pain in my wrist and so on. Say, all right, do your thing, check it, right. See some swelling. All right, so we will do an X-ray. Okay, so you do the X-ray. Right, they look at it. Okay. And see, nothing is broken or whatever it is, but we have an orthopedic specialist on call. Right now, he's doing a procedure. This is like 10 o'clock in the night. He's doing a procedure, surgery on a 17-year-old footballer. So when he's finished, he'll come and check it. That is given $400. He's saying it's free. We're paying $432 a year in health surcharge. Everybody. The doctor comes now, the specialist, and right, so he looks at the X-ray. Right, okay. He decides to examine. He look at the hand, take it, squeeze it, whatever it is. You're feeling any pain? Yes, pain here, right. Then he goes, well, I don't know. We could do I'm not seeing anything broken or anything like that, but we want to do a CT scan or an MRI, and the CT scan is $1,500 and the MRI is $4,000. But if you had to do the MRI, you had to come back tomorrow because the technician is not here to do the MRI tonight. And we could do that and we could do that. It don't matter to me because the health insurance covering it. So I'm like, okay, well, we had to do this, all right. Well, I'll do over the X-ray, and I'll do it tilt the hand at a different angle, and I'll be able to see and whatnot and all of that. They give you up to now, I have no idea what it costs. To be honest with you, I didn't ask, because I paid nothing out of pocket. But all I know is, the only thing I know is was his fee. The specialist, he just happened to be there, because when I drove in, same time I saw him riding on his motorcycle when he come to do his surgery. And he just, so he come, he just look at thing and he say, all right. So just from him looking at the X-ray, looking at my hand, and giving me the splint, he said, all right, that's $1,800. $1,800 just for that. Right. So I don't know what the painkiller injection that they gave me, I don't know what that cost. The X-ray, I have no idea what that cost. I just know, because I heard when he told the nurse, well, okay, right on. $1,800 on the form, he asked for the insurance form. But Munila, I want to tell you, we paying $432 in health recharge, so it's free. It's free. So you go to the hospital, you're feeling well, the doctor come and see you. In the private sector, that visit, I'll rest for the doctor to come and see you and do a consult and talk to you. It costs $400 or $500 just for that, right? So your health recharge money eat up, long time. Eat up. And this is just one visit. And then when they have to run tests and they take you and they do the X-ray and whatever else and come back, and if it is that they have to ward you and give you medication while it is that you're there, and they've given you food and all of that, and one time you find it, you're getting medication there, and when you're discharged, they're giving you a prescription to go down to the dispensary to get your medication and all this thing to go home. Right? And then you have the outpatient thing, then you come back and they treat you, whatever is the issue. $432 for the year in health recharge. According to he, we paying, it's free, we paying taxes. How many things, it is amazing, these people, how many things they want with these so-called taxes that they pay. We want the best road, the best healthcare, we want gas subsidized, we want water subsidized, electricity subsidized, we want the best education system. The children must get school lunches, we must give the children laptops, we must give them book grant, we must give them uniform grant, we must provide them a transportation to take them to and from school. All of these things, right? I'm paying tax. I'm paying tax. And I want all of them things too. All of the best. How much taxes you pay? You ever really study that? For those of you who still paying, who still paying income tax. And for those who not paying income tax, but like to talk about taxpayers' money and taxpayers' money. So many things, but you heard it right there. 92.4% of the government's annual budget goes to recurrent expenditure, wages and salaries, transfers and subsidies, goods and services. 92% of the budget goes to that. So whatever is little bit is left over, they have to pave road, and they have to build schools, and build hospital, and build health center, and build police station, and build fire station. One of the things that got me upset is when I'm listening to these UNC senators talking about all the things they build and how much they build. And they could show what they spend the money on. Well, they build fire stations all over the country. I think they build about 8 fire stations. And they're proud of that. But then buy a single fire tender to put into these fire stations. Because all the existing fire stations that we had before had tenders. Right? So if you build 8 new fire stations, it is expected you will buy fire tenders for these stations. You will buy the apparatus that is required by the fire officers, and you will also hire fire officers to man these 8 stations. Well, you won't do that. But you build infrastructure. They love to boast they build infrastructure. So you build the fire station. To do what? So when a fire happens, when a fire takes place, what's supposed to happen? What's supposed to happen? The fire officers that work in there will take some fire extinguishers and put it in the trunk and drive to the fire and out it. Not one fire station they buy. They spend $6-point-something million to retrieve a fire truck that was probably worth $300,000. You know how many fire stations, fire tenders they could have bought with that money? Not one. But boasting, we build fire station and we build police station. You build pink elephants, white elephants that serve no purpose because it had no equipment for it to be of use. But want to kill this government when they come in out to say something, and this fire station has no fire tender, and that fire station has no fire tenders. But did you all buy any? You all had the highest energy revenues in the country's history. Your leader loved to boast about that. How many fire tenders all you buy? The one that went over the precipice here, did you buy one to replace that? It's still parked up in the Shogunas police, the Shogunas fire station. Go on, drive down on that side and you see it parked up there. but they bill and they spend money. As my partner Dane does always say, if you want a thief, bill. And the UNC has perfected that art. You want a thief, bill. So we got 2 interchanges so far for less than what it is they were planning to spend on 1. And when I listened to Munilal just now telling the Minister of Finance, not Finance, sorry, the Minister of Health, when he asked him about the oncology center, where it is and when it come in, and Mr. Dial Singh told him in June. And he said, June, all right. And then he mentions that they're going to convert the Augustus Long Hospital into an oncology center. He have a problem with that. It's not that they're billing anything, it's just that they're going to convert the Augustus Long. So he have a problem with the government saving money by using a facility that is already there. A facility that has not been in use for some time. The basic infrastructure is there, so you could just outfit it, make whatever adjustments you need to, and have that facility there in half the time or less than it would take to build a brand new facility. Less money, but that for them, that don't make sense. That doesn't make sense to them. Instead, they must spend the money to build a whole new facility, which takes longer and costs more. That is why this administration was able to spend $500 million less on the Red House project. Because 441 resulted in the complete renovation and refurbishment of the Red House, as well as the companion building. The UNC's plan to create this companion building was to tear down all those buildings north of the Red House. So across the road, they have the regiment have a place there. And next to the regiment is the Ministry of National Security, Temple Court. And next to Temple Court, you have a building there that is the Lord Chambers of Israel Khan and so on. And then you have a car park, and then around the corner you have NLCD, you have the court, the magistrate's court, and so on. Their intention was to tear down all of that. And put up a companion building, which was supposed to provide offices for members of parliament. And that was supposed to cost you, Mr. Taxpayer, the entire project, $950 million, almost $1 billion. What did this administration do? They renovated the entire Red House. And the government campus that was just down the road, that the People's Partnership left empty for 5 years, 3 months, and 14 days while they continued to rent buildings here, there, and everywhere and spend tens of millions and hundreds of millions of dollars in rent. This administration decided to outfit that building. So they removed the Office of the Attorney General out of Cabildo Chambers and placed them in one of the buildings on government campus, that building that was empty for 5 years, 3 months, and 14 days, looking nice, towering over the city and serving no useful purpose. This Keith Rowley administration decided to convert one of those buildings into the Office of the Attorney General and Ministry of Legal Affairs. So they had the Office of the Attorney General while they were in office, 5 years, 3 months, and 14 days, in Cabildo Chambers, and renting a building on South Key to house the Ministry of Legal Affairs, because they split the 2 ministries, right? So you were paying rent for that building on South Key that was demolished. It's no longer there. This administration had the foresight to again merge the 2 ministries and have them housed in one building. And by moving the Office of the Attorney General out of Cabildo Chambers, you had a building right behind the Red House that was available to be used for this companion building that UNC wanted to spend hundreds of millions of dollars to construct. So they would have spent money to demolish all these buildings north of the Red House. And of course, you had to award that contract to somebody. So somebody would have eaten food. And then you have to build a new building, so you have to award that contract to somebody. And somebody else would have eaten food, right? So however, they would have split it up with whichever minister or ministers would have eaten food, drink, or juice. That would have happened. PNM didn't do that. We have a building right across the road. All we need to do is to spend far less money and simply retrofit that building and create the companion building. So now members of parliament have offices. So when you're driving on St. Vincent Street, you see that connection between the Red House, that facility that goes across the road, the walkway, that connects the Red House to what is Cabildo Chambers, so they could just go across. And the office is right there. They didn't have the foresight to do that, or maybe they did. But we can't thief enough if we do that. So let's go the other way. And as a result of that, your government led by Keith Rowley saved you over $500 million. Let me repeat that. $500 million was saved. But when this administration talks about that, Munilal vex. Oh, they're talking about they save how much money and things, but ask them they change the scope of works and all of that. He vexed because the government saved you 500 million. You ever see, but they always like to talk, this is the most corrupt government, and this government is about wastage. But $500 million saved, and he vexed. He vexed. Because if they come back into office, that's one less project that they could spend money on to thief. But he vexed. But put them back into office. They're complaining how much money this government spent. And they want to borrow and borrow. And they're creating debt for future generations for what children and grandchildren have to repay these debts. But the government would not have needed to increase the borrowing limit if it is you all had done what you were supposed to do between 2010 to 2015, or even before that. Because the Manning administration since 2008-2009 has been trying to implement the Revenue Authority to plug the leakages and the losses in tax revenue that this country endures every year. I have mentioned to you all before, and I'll repeat it. David Abdullah is on record as having said on numerous occasions that he had a conversation with a former People's Partnership government minister, finance minister, who told him that their estimate is that this government, or the government, or this country loses about $7.5 billion every year in taxes to tax evasion. $7.5 billion. And when he inquired of him, so why are they going to do something about it? The former minister told them, we can't do nothing because the people, the perpetrators, the guilty parties, is our people. Their financiers, their members who own businesses and evading taxes. But we can't do nothing because if we do something about it, it impacts how much money they could give us for the election. So we ain't doing nothing. It's we people. Party before country. Now, if it is, and one needs to understand why it is that at every turn they continue to object to the passage of the legislation that would bring to life the Revenue Authority, where you would consolidate and amalgamate all the different revenue collection agencies of state under one umbrella. Now you have the IR, you have the Warden Office, you have Customs and Excise by so, and this one by so, and you have to pay money all over the place. All over the place, they're collecting revenue here, there, and everywhere. So easy to have leakages. Easy for people to thief. Look at what we saw happened with the same Brent Thomas who they always want to defend. Right? His name get called up. A former employee of the Board of Inland Revenue was arrested and charged for falsifying tax statements. Right? Falsifying, I forget what the name of the statements are, on behalf of Mr. Thomas allegedly, so that you could rob the state. They didn't want to support that legislation. Watson Duke, his argument, first of all, was that if you implement the Revenue Authority, that public servants are going to lose their jobs. Never mind the fact that the government continues extension after extension to give these public servants who would be affected the opportunity to decide. Do you want to move to the new authority, or you could take VSEP if you want to, or you could be reassigned to a different ministry or a different department. But they refused. They're not supporting no Revenue Authority. I'm not telling you we can make adjustments to what currently exists and we can fix the Board of Inland Revenue. The issue is not the Board of Inland Revenue. The issue is that we have too many entities that collect revenue on behalf of the state, not under the same umbrella. They're all over the place. Whereas if it is you could bring them together, it makes it easier for you to be able to regulate and cut. So therefore, when we're doing that, if we could plug some of that leakage, the money that the government would be collecting in taxes that now going down drain, or not, it ain't going down the drain. It's staying in the bank account of the culprits, the white-collar criminals. If the government were to get that into the coffers, they wouldn't need to come to the parliament to ask to raise the debt ceiling, to have to borrow, to fund things that should be funded by the money that should be coming in from taxes, but you have tax evasion all over the place. But they ain't supporting that. But want to come and talk about this government, and all they want to do is to borrow. Don't borrow, raise, don't implement any new taxes, and don't take any money from the Heritage and Stabilization Fund. So we want them to get the money from. Diversify the economy and diversify the economy. The government is doing things to diversify the economy. I'm going to play this one, as I mentioned that one time. Yes, Janti Lakshmidiyal talking about the MyLat, My Part program, criticizing the government for that program, stating that it is not a good program because you're forcing young people to participate in these military-led uh, programs and so on, and it would only serve to, what did she say, boy? Something to the effect that it would only serve to make them, I can't remember the term that she used, but basically she's saying is that the MyLat, My Part program, by forcing young people into these programs, that you're creating hardened citizens or something like that, and that they will reject that, all kind of foolishness. Forgetting totally all of the success stories that have come out of the MyLat, My Part program. Some of these young people go in there willingly, right? In fact, a lot of them, the government has now announced that they are going to establish new facilities so that the program, which now is solely for men or young men, could now incorporate women as well. And we've had a number of young people who have come out of these programs and have become police officers, soldiers, they joined the Air Guard, they joined the Coast Guard, and so on. But Jayanti has studied about that fact, coming to tell you that this wicked government figured that the only way they could deal with the youth is to force them into these military programs and so on. And anyway, I'll play that for you another time. But I felt I need to play this one because, again, another initiative of the government. Let me get it here. Where is it? So, right. Right.
Your job as an ARA entrepreneur just got much easier. Your job as an ARA entrepreneur just got so much easier. The Ministry of Agriculture, Land and Fisheries is offering an agro incentive grant to all licensed wood workers, sawmillers, farmers, fishermen, and employed agriculture workers. So you can have an opportunity to further your business to $100,000. This is all part of the government's initiative to increase food security in Trinidad and Tobago while diversifying the economy. Last year, the ministry invested $5 million in 50 recipients of the agro incentive grant. Here's how you could be the next one. First, you have to go and check out the Ministry of Agriculture's website and click the Agro Incentive Grant under Grant Initiatives. Complete the application form and submit it to any one of the Agricultural Development Bank branches. It must be accompanied by evidence of land tenure, your registration with the ministry, the business plan, and experience in agriculture. Once the application form is submitted and reviewed, all successful applicants will be contacted. So it's all new. Ready to secure agribusiness to the next level? Don't miss out on your opportunity to secure new agricultural technologies and equipment. Send this to somebody who needs it. Your job.
That is your government working for you. Right? That is your government working for you. Yet another grant program. You see, when the People's National Movement creates grant programs, right, it's meaningful. It is grant programs that are intended to help people to improve their lot. So when I listened to Jayanti Lakshmidiyal in the debate on Tuesday, taking issue with Laurel Lizamba-Leasing for taking them to task because of the milk grant, I think she called it, right? Or the baby grant, $500 a month to make child. You have a set of children you can't mind, but make more, and we will give you $500 a month to buy milk and Pampers, so you could go buy Pennywise and buy milk and Pampers. So if it is your concern, I have 3 children already, or I have 4, but I can't mind, but I'm struggling to mind them. I can't have no more now because I can't afford that right now. Here, what the UNC telling me? Oh, share mouth, man. Go and make more. Make more. We will give you $500 a month to buy milk and Pampers. That's what they're telling you. That is their grant, baby grant. But what the PNM say? They're giving you an agriculture grant of up to $100,000. $100,000 so that you can take your business to the next level. You have land tenure, all right. You already have experience. You're a sawmiller. You're in what was the other thing he mentioned there, boy? If you're in woodworking, sawmill, farmer, agriculture worker, you have experience with respect to agriculture and so on, come. You're getting a grant of up to $100,000 to take your business to the next level. These are the kind of things that we need to see going out there. So that the young man who I told you all about last week, who come in to do a live to talk about where you see where Rowley and they want to get the youth. Well, they want to get the youth and they want to get them some agriculture course. Pay to go and dig trench and dig drain and dig dirt in the hot sun. That's what Rowley and them offer. Totally misguided. But this is another grant program. This is not Homestead. This is separate and apart from Homestead. This is separate and apart from the $20 million that the government put aside with the $20,000 grants if it is that you want to start a business or you already have a business and you want to take it to the next level. This is another grant. 50 recipients over the last couple of weeks received $100,000 each, totaling $5 million. 50. And when I saw it on the television, on the evening news, right? And when you look at, anyway, let me not go there. Well, you know, let me not go there. So you have an accept to say, when you look at the farmers who are inclined, who receive most of these grants, look at which constituencies they come from, right? $100,000. $100,000 that you're getting as a grant. You know what a grant means? You don't have to pay it back. So we're giving you money, $100,000 to take your business to the next level. We're giving you the technical support. As they mentioned, and I was listening to, I think, another clip like this. It's not a case where we're leaving you your business, so we give you the money and we're just leaving you on your own. They have a vested interest in ensuring that every single business owner or every recipient of this grant, the government has a vested interest to ensure that these businesses succeed. So if it is they give you the grant and you're doing your thing and the business starts to encounter some problems, they are going to step in to look, send in the experts. Let's see what is the problem. What is the problem you're having here? Let's see what the issue is, where you went wrong, so that we can guide you and assist you. And if that assistance means you need more money, they have that in place too. You go through NIDCO, right? And NIDCO will give you, you need extra money, all right, this is what you need to do. You need to work over this business plan. We need to invest in this. We need to do that. We give you the technical support. We'll have our experts come and talk to you, work with you. They will check in on you every week to find out if it is that you're doing what you're supposed to do. You encounter problems, come back into us and we will help you. But no credit for that, you know. When you're talking about we need to diversify the economy and this government is doing enough to diversify the economy. But you're getting $100,000 grant. You don't have to pay it back. You have land sit down there for the longest while. You own the land and you're only watching it. You might go and plant two pepper plant. You plant one row of tomatoes or something, and when it bear, it's for you and your family. You give it to your friends and so on. But you have all this land there that you could be put into proper use to grow food for the nation, so that we can have food security. But not only that, you could engage in a thriving business. You could engage in agro processing and export stuff and earn some foreign currency or something like that. Instead, they just had the land sit down there and, yeah, I have a piece of land up in Grandy, but I have a piece of land up in Kaiwal. Yeah, I have land in Vancouver. And nothing happening. The government is saying you have land 10 years and you have some experience, come. We will give you $100,000 to put that land to use. They ain't talking about that. But you will have Ron Harford will sit down in a meeting to talk about this government. And this is our damn country. And we pay in taxes and therefore and whatnot. And talk about the energy sector. The very same people who are always talking about we need to diversify the economy. Not focusing on these, only want to tell the government what they must do to further become entrenched in the energy sector. But kudos to Republic Bank, the former employer of Mr. Harford, that they too have seen the need to come on board to provide that level of support to small businesses so that they now are providing loans of up to $100,000. They ain't giving grant, but they're giving a loan up to $100,000 and they're giving you the technicals for free. $100,000 to grow your business. So our government today is trying to build an economy that is built on the back of small and medium enterprises that have the potential to grow into bigger businesses. They offer incentives for existing businesses to come on board, to go on the stock exchange, to raise capital on the stock exchange, to finance your business. And if it is that you do that, the incentive is that you wouldn't have to pay corporate tax for 5 years. Look at the lengths to which this administration is going to build businesses in this country. Let me read this for you too, as I remember it. Let me get this one in.
Your job as an app.
I saw this and I see, well, plenty of them are like that, but to hell with it. Let me get this here. So, 1 second.
Of an upcoming conference which aims to bring together NGOs, business groups, community groups, government agencies, faith-based organizations, and other stakeholders in a consultation exercise to plan for the revitalization of East Port of Spain. Some of the training programs already undertaken are carpentry, plumbing, and maintenance. Maureen, who served 2 terms as Deputy Mayor of Port of Spain, tells TV6 they have also spoken with the residents directly to get a sense of what they are interested in.
So one of the initiatives that we actually hope to roll out within the next coming month or two is our economic incubator program, where we'll be focusing on, so I just touch on those 19 communities in East Port of Spain. We want to ensure that we touch each of those communities, supporting business development in each of those communities with a grant. We've already apportioned out of our budget for this financial year about $3 million for that project.
He says he wants to help change the bad reputation of East Port of Spain. Maureen says the community has a lot to offer.
East Port of Spain is a wonderful place.
Yes.
We have, unfortunately, the stigma that has been attached to it, but we are working with all stakeholders, and that's why that stakeholder conference is so important,
yes,
to reverse that stigma. We see East Port of Spain as being, we see East Port of Spain as having the opportunity to be like what Trinidad and Tobago was for Singapore when they came here and looked at our model and said, we are adopting that.
Maureen further notes that by opening new doors to the youth in the community, they may be discouraged from a life of crime and drugs. He adds that this is a long-term plan to disenable those attracted to a life of crime.
It's really a minimal amount of persons who are
Yes.
getting involved in this. That create this brandishing, this negative brandish on top of East Port of Spain. If we can pull them away from that by showing them, okay, there's opportunity here, there's funds available here for a project that can help you sustainably move forward for the next 10 plus years, I think we will, within a period of time, lend that support to the national security system as they deal with that hard aspect of it.
Nicole M. Romani, TV6 News.
Another grant program, this one for 19 communities in East Port of Spain, designed for persons who are inclined towards business, but also to provide some level of skills training to the young people in the area. I wonder if that young boy who did that live if he's aware of this. But David Naked will tell you in the Parliament, he went into her place. He was of 2 minds to go, but he went into her place and he saw the anguish on the faces of these people. That's part of East Port of Spain. You think he told anybody about this? You think he will tell anybody about that? No. Them just only watch the news to see bad news and talk about that. But things like this, they wouldn't promote, but they so love Trinidad and Tobago. There was one other thing I read. See, they're all up in the feelings about this one too. Small business booms in San Fernando. A vibrant resurgence of retail business activity is pulsating through San Fernando and its surroundings as the retail sector has finally sprung back to life thanks to startup loans, grants, and training from business chambers and state agencies. Among the entities lending vital assistance are the National Entrepreneurial Development Company Limited, NEDCO, which has provided startup loans, the Unit Trust Corporation, which has provided grants, and the Entrepreneurship Policy Advisors, which have been working collaboratively to develop and grow business in TNT. Speaking to the Business Guardian, the Chief Executive Officer of NEDCO, Calvin Maurice, agreed that more people are seeking opportunities as entrepreneurs. Not like the UNC telling them about, we will create jobs, and we'll create 55,000 jobs and jobs. NEDCO increased our loan disbursement for 2023. It was over $22 million. In the first half of 2024, just 3 months, we have already disbursed $17 million already. saying many youths have expressed interest in NEDCO's Business Accelerator program. Maurice said NEDCO has been going into communities, speaking to business groups, and putting out public information about entrepreneurship opportunities, not only for the retail sector, but also for light manufacturing industries. Our loans are not falling into default, so this means that these businesses are doing well, he explained. Maurice also said, over the next 2 years, 2,000 businesses will benefit as $40 million is disbursed through NEDCO under the micro, small, and medium enterprise. Let me read that again. Maurice also said over the next 2 years, over 2,000 businesses will benefit from $40 million in disbursed, $40 million disbursed under the micro, small, and medium enterprises. We provide auxiliary services, training, mentorship, monitoring, and when we see businesses folding, we get in there and give them the training and assistance so that we can ensure that there is business success. So NEDCO not just come in and tell you, well, here what, you're going to take the loan, go and do your business. If it is you're experiencing problems, they realize you miss someone's loan payment, what happened in there? What went on this month? So sorry, we need to come in and have a word with you. We need to inspect what's taking place so we can help you to fix that so there won't be a repeat. Meanwhile, Executive Director of the Unit Trust Corporation, Nigel Edwards, agreed that business development initiatives such as Scale Up are starting to boost businesses in TNT, not only in the southern city. We have several business enablement initiatives and programs. One of these is called Scale Up, which is intended to reach local companies who have operated but are now expanding. Edwards revealed that Scale Up TT offers training for business principles, and we want to make people growth obsessed. And we will provide the tools to help them to expand. He also noted that the Upreneur Plus is a startup accelerator created by a partnership between the UTC and the UE Ventures Limited to support innovative early stage businesses. We provide 5 grants of up to $50,000 each for businesses that are in the startup mode. We also give grants of $250,000 each for businesses that need to do research and development of products and services. Saying such initiatives have contributed to the development of business, Edwards said most of their programs were collaborative and meant to assist with diversification of the economy. Meanwhile, Kiran Singh, the president of the Greater San Fernando Chamber of Industry and Commerce, revealed that retail sector business has picked up in San Fernando and environs. There is a spirit of resilience and innovation surging through the city, fueled by incentives and business programs, Singh said. Saying more people are expressing interest in renting properties for business in the city, Singh noted job creation is a challenge in this country, but if people can generate their own income, they can feed themselves and their families and not depend on the state for handouts. Somebody tell Kamala and them that from a please. Tell Kamala and them that, not they stop trying to create an environment of handouts. This administration is creating businesses, business owners, all around. It seems every week you're hearing about a new grant program coming into place. 1,000 entrepreneurs by 2025, an entrepreneur in every home. This is the mantra of the Ministry of Trade and Industry led by Paula Gopi-Spoon, who just came back from Ghana, by the way, looking for trade opportunities between Trinidad and Tobago and Ghana. But all the UNC could talk about when anybody from this administration go to Africa, or they go in there to see if they could get yam and dasheen from Africa. Because like something wrong with establishing links with Africa. But if it was establishing links with India, they have no problem with that. But Africa, something wrong with that. Singh, let me see here. Compared to the post-COVID period when many businesses were shuttered because of poor sales, Singh further noted that San Fernando is witnessing renewed business interest, particularly in the inner city areas. And through the Chamber's Business Incubation Unit, Singh added that more people have gained access to business development seminars, networking events, and product development facilities free of charge. NEDCO and UTC have programs to build entrepreneurship. We are asking that some of these programs that started in Port of Spain be extended to San Fernando as well, Singh recommended. He noted that the Chamber also planned to lend support to youths who want to open small businesses. More and more people are going to NEDCO for startup loans, UTC for grants and entrepreneurial support. Due diligence processes at NEDCO and UTC is more relaxed as opposed to the banking sector where there are rigorous forms of paperwork to be filled out before one can access loans. Just today, we held a meeting. People are being taught how to grow their businesses through the practical application of business development tools and techniques, such as advisory and training sessions, mentorship, loan funding, and access to product development facilities. And the article goes on. And it goes on. But they ain't talking about that, you know. Oh, they mash up the energy sector and the economy in a mess. But the narrative that they are pushing we continue to see every day. It is totally untrue. And that this government continues to invest. So when they want to know where the money gone, and where the money gone, and where they spending the money on, you have idiots like this one called Nicholas Jaikaran. We'll call Professor Clueless and Captain to tell them, you only want to know where the money gone? Check and see all the property Rowley and the family own in America. Because breadfruit, what they call it now, boy? Breadfruit Marseille Brave Boy, put out some foolishness about Dr. Rowley own property, something he owned in California, and he owned some business in California, and all kind of foolishness. And them jump on that because that's the kind of propaganda they like. But things like this, they wouldn't come and do a live and talk about. They wouldn't call that program and talk about these things and encourage the youth. The same youth they're so care about. They wouldn't call that program to encourage the youth, hey, look at have this opportunity. Look at have that opportunity. Put on the gun. All you want money, it have grants. It's free money for you to start your own business. Put on the gun. Start a business that could benefit you and your family. No, they ain't gonna talk about that. But call the radio station and you see my Rowley, and Rowley have property here, and Rowley this and Rowley that. But we must put them back in office. Miss me with that BS. 7701763. Miss me with that. Have the audacity to come and talk about development? Really? What's all the idea of development? Color me orange. Hands up, out, up, out, up, out, down. That's the idea of development. The idea of development, pay people to paint the outside of the buildings on Duncan Street, Nelson Street, George Street, and so on. Buildings that should be demolished. But let me paint the outside so it will look nice, and then come and offer it to the people for $100. And so we could relinquish responsibility for these businesses from the HDC. But Giant, you want to go, oh, we gave out 100 houses a week. That is development UNC style 100. Who built the houses? Who built the houses, Giant? Just give me 1 sec, Jen. Let me just connect this thing here. All they boasting that all they gave out 100 houses that the Manning administration built. You all came into office in 2010 talking about the PNM build house and then give it out. But you all left Napoyo Court abandoned, Real Spring and Valsayn abandoned, Beaufort and St. James abandoned. But that is development UNC style. This administration came in and finished Napoyo Court and build more units in Napoyo Court too. Build more units in Real Spring. Build more units in Beaufort and give it out. So all these people who today paying a mortgage for these properties for the last 7 or 8 years under this administration, under you all, they were wasting money on rent when they should have had at least 5 years inside in terms of equity in their homes with mortgage. But no, all they didn't want to go and develop because that's in PNM constituency. So abandon the houses in PNM constituencies. Look. Let me get this. Let me connect this thing here. Jenny, talk to me. Jenny.
Hi, good afternoon, Dominic.
Hi.
Good afternoon to all those who are looked on to factors of one thing. I don't know, like Giant, and they do travel the world because in big America that they love, they have several military-led programs for the youth. The Department of the Air Force Child and Youth Program, UST and the military for positive youth development, military youth programs and teen programs, Purpose Start School program, youth programs, Maryland and military-led department. So, and there are several more. America has realized that children who may be at risk would need that type of discipline. And again, she has not gone to Mila or my part and see success stories. Children, if she had watched Jingles, the African youth would have, he didn't want to go to Mila. And he went to it after friends encouraged him, and he was able to sit 6 subjects at CXC. He said he passed 3, he was so shocked, and he went up for the next 3. And he encouraged any youth to go to the programs. And we have so much success stories who went on to Coast Guard, Army, Police, and all that. So Giant, they are being very disingenuous, but again, in my opinion, anything where African youth could develop and stay away from crime, they have a challenge with that. They're more likely to be wanting the baby grab and go and sit down and put your finger on your lip and calling for URP and fighting up with one another. I think they're more comfortable, the African people, in that to get on to paint of us. Because you know they have it down that the face that crime is people of African descent.
Correct.
But they don't see Indian people committing crime because they don't ever put up the pictures and they don't put the name. There's always say somebody from and all that. Right now, a senior immigration officer of Indian descent, a woman, she has been held, I think, involved in some type of fraud and all that. But they won't talk about that. And again, as I say, they continue to successfully sometimes to portray crime as the face of the African man when that is not true. But we know the fourth estate, if that is the news media and all that, apparently they have this habit of not portraying crime being done by anybody else but people of African descent. I just want to touch quick with Roger. I want Roger to tell the people of Trinidad and Tobago what bargaining unit he represents and where he works. Because I know if you're a union leader, you have to be employed within the area of the bargaining units that you represent. So if you are the President General OWTU, it will be expected that you work in either in the cement factory, ARA, or you work in Tech, because those are bargaining units at OWTU. And the last time I checked, Roger would have retired long time, gotten the money from Petrotron and all that. So I don't understand how we could sit down and be the voice of OWTU. But not only that, he said there was the same woman who he said has lied. The same woman who embarrassed him when she stood up in Parliament when he was starting the big march, when UNC people was in government. And she said in the Parliament when I was down at Waterfront that he, Roger, when he was a foreman in Trinidad, I think it was, but cover up an accident could have been fatal to one of the people who was under him, he was supervising, and even paid the man to lie. And based on that, he was a disciplinary action, and I think he was fired from Trinidad. She bring out all that in Parliament against him. When they were trying to get the Petrotron and all that, he come out and say basically she's trying to sabotage them getting it, and that she was lying. Yes. And today this man sit down next to Kamala Prasad-Bissessar. All of the unions were involved with her when they had the fight about Accord, and that didn't last as long as the house fire. She betrayed them. That's why MSG pulled aside because Abdullah said she corrupt. And this man Roger staying down next to she today to say they form an alliance. People are watching pattern of behavior, you know. Just now she was running down Gary Griffith and said I could win this and win that. That didn't work out. Next thing you hear it was Philip Alexander. That didn't work out. She gone right back, or he gone right back to vomit one out of the two. So people we need to be watch these things and be very careful. And to follow Chavez Augustine. I don't know to make casket for old people. I know if anybody, unfortunately, could die. You don't know the time or whatever. So to be able to be said that the elders and them who feel they know and drag and cough, meaning to say that they're close to death, is only young people they want. I think you may have signed your, as I say, figuratively speaking, your death warrant speaking that, because the people in Tobago who voted for it, not only young people got you into office here. A lot of African young, elders would have voted for you. And imagine you would have won the 14 seats by it was much, you know, some places 10 votes, I think 15 votes and all that. So it's nothing to be proud about. And that could swing anytime if PNM voters come back out of vote and the people who are disenfranchised and affected by your leadership in THA go and vote. I do not see no TPP getting back no majority vote in Tobago. Fali has failed. He will continue to fail because he continued to say things and he's encouraged by people like Pastor Bain. Elders to it. They took a woman, she's an elder. She's a retired person in public service. She old. Bain say no young man. Whitey, there's so much that old people with you too. So Whitey and all like Parrys sent a message to all your like he could have replaced all when he register, he party if he register and replace all with the young people. Because I went out to him and all look what he do with you. He was riding with you with the PDP, all of them was good, he faith and all of good. I want to get him. He trolled Duke too. He said he's independent and he formed his own party. So I will tell Baines and all them elders who riding with Sally, you know, all them be careful. When you register a party, we're taking for young people and troll you because he say all your dragon cars. Good morning to Tobago and people in Trinidad. Be safe, have a blessed week.
Thank you, sir. Hello, good afternoon.
Good afternoon, now.
Afternoon.
UNC is a joke, you know. They love to lie so much on others to expose their own lies. What UNC will? We allow the houses is fair bill. The strong wind blow it away. What is schools school and they say you build? Show us one. Just show me one school in the land. I don't understand if they don't go back and read or listen to what they have said. Because Julian John say A and Cameron say B. If you want to lie, come together and lie. And Cameron, you see you have no property under your name. I saw something on Facebook yesterday where you said when your husband have property under your name. What else do you divorce somewhere that you get divorced that we don't know about? Because it's not your house. Why are you there? Are you a squatter? Because you want to always move into camera. What is the issue? What it is? You are too old. Relax your old self and rock in a chair. Roger, your next one. You're looking for a seat on the UNC. You unfaithful, two-tongued hypocrite. You and Pojo, same worthless sense. You should form a party of worthless people who are hungry and Miss Broad-Nosed Green Boy. I hope you suit for your slander. Stand by what you say and don't delete it. And if people do not listen to you, Dominic, closely and take notes, they will fall for lies. You say them perfect, no, they're not, eh? But you're honest. Humans make mistakes. They will see them, they'll look back and now. You know, Robert, he said parent was falling apart and imploding. What excuse you have for Kamala today? The same thing Kamala did to Pandy is being done to her. And those so-called men are knock-off Kentos. Nobody have balls. They can walk around naked and don't get charged for probably an agency. You have yet to be men. You have yet to grow up. You're not patriotic. Your country is UNC. Your PM, Kamala. Your flag yellow. You lie for everything under the sun. Kamala is a dictator, and she went to the Jim Jones of Trinidad and Tobago. If you all choose that, you choose to go to hell, get sent. And don't go to misinformation, listen to Dominic and the people who know what they're talking about. Because those two clowns are clowns. It's for payday. Look at to be part of a party that don't want them, you know. You have been a slave masters. That's what you are. Slave masters to lies and slander and misinformation. Borrow a brain, rent a brain, pick one. Talk about crime, okay? What is a crime? Frog Lee is on bail for fraud. What a crime? When you rob the government, you rob every citizen in this country. Well, the homes they built, we're gone. the billions of dollars that could have gone back into the state. That could have gone to the health sector. Where was the money, lad? Where was it? What house you built? That should be investigated as fraud. Some hunger to get my people to buy later.
Thank you. Hello?
Hello?
Yes, sir.
I'm already there. I want to take over. Yes, good afternoon to you, Mr. Aramin. Good afternoon to all the listeners and the viewers on Facts Are Stubborn Things. And no, it have nothing in this country that surprises me under the house of the setting sun. Right? Now, all this talk about they want new election and they want fresh mandate in the UNC and everything. And no, that ain't gonna happen. Kamla Sushila Prasad Visesa is hell-bent on remaining in office until thy kingdom come. She's not giving up that position. Why? One, she's getting a pension, a prime minister pension. She's getting an opposition leader's salary, and she's getting a member of parliament salary. And she's still getting the perks as the escort and these things, right? But at a lower extent, right? So people think that Kamala going to give up that for Russian Party to become leader of the party. That ain't gonna happen. It ain't gonna happen, not now, not never, and not in the future. You understand? So, with all that being said, that party is a dead party in my book. Kamala is trying to grasp at the last root during the well. Right? And the ringaroos around her who support her, the supporters, the MPs, they want her there. So when they win election, which they would never will, right? They will have Kamala as a mop stick. Because when she drunk and she fall down and she have 5-day weekend and she can't get up off the bed, this is where they are going to take advantage of the situation. So she will sign off things willy-nilly, checks, contract, you name it. So that is why, that's what transpired in 2010 to 2015 under Kamala, you know. Kamala wasn't the prime minister there, you know. They used Kamala as a ploy to sign off. That is why Dominic the country in all this expense and debt right now. Because people use Kamala to their advantage to sign off contracts to get their friends, family, and acquaintances, as well as sign off checks and the amount of millions of dollars to give their friends, family, and acquaintances. That is why they want her back there. So they will use her the same way they did in 2010. So she will be drunk and she will know what to sign, or she will know what to do about herself. You understand? That is the whole ploy there. So people in this country only cannot see it now and only not understanding what the UNC is doing at present. If they cannot fix their own home, how could you fix a multiracial or multicultural society that you said is party before country? So in other words, you can't fix you can't fix Trinidad and Tobago because you saying it's party before country. So once you and your party not in office or in the government in the country, the hell with country. Once my party, once I is the leader of my party called the UNC National Congress. Right? But with that being said, I have nothing I get to say about oil because every single day they are just stalling and causing problematic issues in this country regarding to development in society. Because everything the government do right now, they have an issue. And as the giant Toti, Lakshmi Dial, right? Check yourself before you wreck yourself. Because under this administration, under the Minister of Youth and National Services in this country, it have an open door for young people to come in, right, and develop their skills, develop themselves, and to turn away from a life of crime, right? You see what all you want the African population, the African youth, that all have nothing good to say about, right, to come, color me orange, give me $69 to do nothing, live sports. This next one, oh God, it has so much that they did, right? That is what they want to have the African race and population in this country in a bubble that here what only belong to nothing less than what we given earlier. You understand? Well, if we throw it come like, you know, when you throw crumbs for a bird or corn for a fowl, that is how the UNC and the opposition leader and the supporters see the African population in this country. I ain't saying all African people, eh? Those who are ignorant to the fact and they just try to use that as to their advantage to say, here what? Yeah, we get one. We're going to use it to denigrate the Prime Minister, to denigrate the PNF party. And so, Dominic, before I go, the UNC already planted seeds in the mind of the African population in this country that the government and Dr. Rowley don't care about them. And until we get up off the lazy ass, right, and go and get the opportunities that is out there for us, we're going to be in a far better society and in a country by extension. But you see, we have a customer is gimme, hand me down, gimme, the dependency syndrome. So Kamala and them want to continue that trend. We thief millions, we give them 100 million, 100,000. We thief 10, 15 million, we give them 50,000. That is how we, so the idea say, well, yes, we think, but we still need to get to talk about Kamala. Yes, them don't care about people in this country other than people who look like them and who is in their caliber. Before I go, Dominic, 2025 on the horizon, if only learn what Dominic is telling all the other people like Jenny, John, Darian, Sharon, Juliet, Mr. Ruka, these people, if only not understanding and not seeing the picture, what's going on right now. God forbid if them people get back, this country domino. But I know they ain't getting back. I have faith that PNF is going to bring up 26 seats in the next election, 26 to 27 seats. That's what my prediction is. Anyway, Dominic, good program as usual. Love to listen.
Thank you, sir. Hello, good afternoon. Hello?
Yeah, hello, Dominic.
Yes, sir.
Yes, how is it going?
Hi, good man.
Weekend. I know that hard stuff, Dominic. To debunk the lies of the UNC. Because I realize that these people put in this country under some pressure from being in government and also out of government. because the amount of lives the parents have a hard work to study, come and be born. And these people lying in front of you, say, oh God, boy, Lord, Father, I never see a bunch of people could lie too. And then you turn a soil in a man and put nothing in it and please to finance. And still coming to tell me that you build a hospital.
Yes.
And and I don't know, and you have people who come in and talking and nonsense, knowing it's not so, boy. Like it's about evil and this land with you and say about evil over some people with some kind of spiritual force. That I have to be the man is already going on. These desperate people, boy. The money. And the next thing too, and I keep telling her, like the last time I tell somebody, I say, you see this talk about taxpayers' money?
Yeah.
Let me tell you something. If the government they put things in place and look for finance, to finance a lot of things in this country, all the taxpayers' money that they're talking about, some of we plenty we ain't paying no tax really, in the 2 cents of the owner. I tell them that say $400 and something health sector, that to do anything to the health sector.
Yeah.
I tell them that already, and same thing you come back and repeat to them, and I tell friends that already. When I hear them talk about how they're paying health sector, I tell them, I say, that health sector, I say the amount of things, I say, one, and you hear what the minister, one of them say that he carried, I think Minister of Finance, where the child break the hand or whatever, and they go to the private, and they tell them $60,000 and they come back and do it in the public for free.
Yes.
Right? Look, my wife said she has changed cars and they had to change cars and all them things and take action. You know how much is that in private sector? I retire now. It will take me all these health sectors that I pay, even going to quarter that things that we benefited from. You understand what I'm saying? And these clown of them, they'll be talking about your health sector, and a big man like Munilal, right, talking about the tax and tax. And I keep saying, if government they put things in place and if this government they go, if this government is operating like the UNC, like we don't have no money to run this country because the UNC policy is don't tax nobody. Leave it like that. Yes. Remain so. You know? And then according to you, more is less to the UNC and less is more. You know? Imagine you was at the smelter, right? We were to bring to diversify the economy. They mash up that. You won't hear that man talking about that, but you hear him writing about diversification and the economy and this government. I don't know, like the students that talk rubbish, you know, and to see that these people, men and letters will be talking this kind of rubbish, but you know, and I keep saying before I go down it, as I was on that point about giving money for the country, Dr. Rowley and them, men on the talk, Dr. Rowley and them pay more tax like father, 20 of these people are talking about that. Right? And Dr. Rowley and them work hard to go and get revenue for the country. Tell me, and I want anybody to dispute that. How the length of time you went to power twice, what they had done to gain revenue for this country. All the meat is what has done before. They enjoy the revenue from our gas, energy sector because of things that Patrick Manning and them put. She do nothing, they leave the earth. And I hear Robert talking, you hear this kind of nonsense this man talking about? You know, this man has to be a real clown boy, you know. And these are the people, this woman pushing forward. Hear this man talking about small pen. You come to talk. He have a problem with man, you know. He's a pum pum and small pen and all these talk. He'll be talking as a man who's supposed to be children supposed to get children listening because you have plenty UNC people who love him, so he's known that the children will be listening, right? And this is the kind of talk he's talking. You know, coming on him, something has to be wrong with him. This man is talking nonsense to the fullest. You hear how he going? You hear the road that he going? Talking about that about the kind of work so some of them doing. But anyhow, and what is coming in? Yes, it is must come time. The kind of thing that the publication of the people at Trinidad and Tobago, they have a goal. The goal will lie down and keep on think that, yes, so these fellas will have to pay someday. Right, Dominic, thank you for allowing me to contribution. Okay, take care and enjoy your rest of your day.
You too. Hello, good afternoon.
Good afternoon.
Yes, sir.
Hello.
Hello?
Yes, hello?
Yes, sir. Go ahead.
Yes. Yes, Dominic. Right. Good contribution from my last caller there. Let me just tell you something, yeah? It's going to be very interesting in the coming months to see this, four-way battle, right? With Tata, Rustin Parrys, Gary Griffith, and maybe the gentleman from that. And I got probably trained Makila Pandy as well.
Right.
It is going to be very, very interesting to see if any sort of alliance could take place before the 2025 general election. And we also had a water for those 2 seats in Tobago. I want to see if the people of Tobago will decide if they want to let go those 2 hard-working ladies like Chancellor Kojo and Ayana Webster Roy. If they will let them go, and they want to go with that so-called toilet paper party with a symbol looking like the Joker face. That's like an anchor, you know. It looks like a clump face. I don't even notice that. Right? And I wonder what the authorities doing something, right? I see they hyping up this so-called constitutional reform as a sort of a fellowship, as a goodwill gesture to the population. I want to put the clear on notice that the UNC don't care about this constitution. What they want is proportional representation and a constitution similar to what's going on in Guyana. And you see how proportional representation works in the local election, correct, Dominic? You see how, despite the PNM won, most of the regional corporations for taking people market, the UNC was still able to get one alderman courtesy of the MTA. I want people to remember that. So when you hear this talk about constitutional reform, the UNC wants to replace the full system of the European 20 days of Parrys Program with this so-called bastardization called proportional representation. They don't want to hear anything but that. 20 days of Pandy, even Rafa talking about it, proportional representation is what they want to hear.
You too, sir.
And I hope those super dramatic, particularly Robert Kiblan, I hope they put their head in shame. Look at what Michelle Benjamin had for them. But I didn't want to send the 50 people. I had a problem with the UNC. But I have a chance again for this 2025. You have a good day.
You too. Thank you. Mr. Chance, you can call me back.
Good afternoon, Dominic.
Yes, sir. Afternoon.
Long time.
Yes.
The show is very difficult to get in, and I am happy to know that it had to get in. It tells me that a lot of people trying to get involved in your program, and you have a large viewership now.
Yes.
I wish I could I get to be one of the marketing people for you, and so we can run some ads on your program too. Get some people to pay the photo with ads because a lot of people listen.
Yes.
That's a plan, you know. But Dominic, come on then. Put out that Dr. Rolly gonna call a snappy lecture. And the reason for that is for her to hold on.
Because if they're going to call up that election, you can't have no general election. I mean, it's too late then. We have to adjust and get people in place. Because like a stack election when I'm called. She do want to ask it, so she have done that. She have done that in 2020. Did the same thing. That she calling no election because our election going to call just now and it's too late and it's too close and we have to prepare for the election, so we will have to postpone the internal election. She got curtailed. And she do the same thing here. So we really don't take on them. They continue to lie, cheat, and be very dishonest, and they know they step up on the propaganda machine. Imagine they will spend a lot of money on spreading propaganda on Facebook and the media, which is very expensive. Mainstream media is very expensive. So you don't run your ads on that, and the kind of ads they run is the Cambridge Analytica ads, where they will lie and put things, and they make their own stories and make a journalist come and run it. And sometimes you have to ask yourself, what did the journalists do? Because they didn't do any research on it. They didn't ask a question to the person. But they do it so quick that we just forget, because they will come and say, look, PNM shut down Petrotrin. Right? But we all know they construct, they're revamping Petrotrin. So basically, it was about the steam to run Petrotrin. But they just get rid of the albatross, which is the refinery. And that has been explained so many times. But they still try to find that. They'll find that. Then you had the case of Wassa. That's another albatross. And Dr. Oli, I see Dr. Oli is going and deal with that head on.
Yes.
So just in case anything, he told you this is what he's going to do. So when they come using the thing that Dr. Oli is sending out people, so he goes in. On the other hand, when Rolly's already fixing the problem, you know. And then Rolly getting his revenue, and then Rolly can build it, he can do that, and the ARA money. And you spend any money back on the country, and up to now, you ain't seen not a one minister you can point your hand and say, look, that minister keep ill. And the police go and arrest him. And the DPP say, right, this is enough evidence to charge him of this, that, and the other multiple charges. So that one answer before court. Imagine them in opposition, and you have an MP still trying to rip up the state by the taxes that is allowed to him that's given to his friend. And then who knows, he keep pocketing that difference in the money, and difference in the money is small money, but it's millions, you know. So, you know, and it's so disgusting, and she keep them there. When you're in trouble, she have to put you under she wing. You know, and you think it's Mulilal, and Mulilal is coming to tell us that can't be suggesting after like this. But look what he is. You think I'm going to battle Kamala if I was in issues? If Kamala tossed me out of the party and I outside it to spend for myself, so I end up like people listening and brand quite on. You see what money for another thing?
Yes.
They at 20 years ago, they tell themselves to get away because there's no court in Trinidad to deal with them now. They can't because of all the finances in the United States. But things change. Laws have changed. A lot of things change. Kamala stand up in the parliament and call Patrick Manning. He can picture up a house and put in a valuation of the house. Basically, that's way to answer the question. You know what to reply to Patrick Manning and whether it was the value of your property and give a ball by ball on it, because Patrick Manning is stupid. Patrick Manning was a prime minister. He's building a lot of. He built the waterfront, and he would know estimated how much money these things for. He built schools, he built all kind of. If you put your house and do just an estimated valuation in here and talk to a couple professionals, he can come with an estimated value of your property. It's for you know to answer, because he bought it in the right place, which is the Parliamentary. Then you have to respond to what he said. Now fast forward, and she has no property. So what happened between then and now? You sold the property and the country let you. I remember people, even myself and all, when this house in St. Clair, we went and pulled up in front of the house and police come and run us. There's a lot of no parking signs. You know, you can park in front of the house at all. You just come on and talk anything and you're watching and you're macking to see Kamala Palace where you see what they're talking about. A squad car come in immediately and tell you to roll out. What's it? If you get in too much trouble, they come and rough you up. You understand? That is what Kamala kept. Kamala, the place she kept all her cabinet meeting. She said that is not her property. She has no property. Why is that, Dominic? I can only speculate, and my speculation is that the beneficiary owner of the property has to be on the deed, and there is something called property tax. And you're telling me a house that has elevators and heliports and all these things and big house that is taken how much square feet of land and how much acre of land is important and all these things. You know how much property tax has a track? You think I would want any property tax? A property like that if I was coming up with a business? Yeah, I'm told all people that is much. I wouldn't want that kind of property tax. You know? So you have to people have to watch them. I didn't know whether I'm angry with them. I hear people are arguing about property tax and they need no one piece of property. Dominic, I live in a normal house, right? And has a fencing annex in back in a middle class area. And when they brought out that I did my own thing because they gave me information is there, and I estimated around 1 point. I estimate property tax I would have to pay is about $1,600. The worst case scenario don't make I have to pay about $2,300. I only did 3%. When I get my documents to go and pay, I get to pay and I have to pay before later this year, September, whatever it is, I need document. Then they go, it's a gather the interest, which I have custom paying land and building tax, and it used to be matched to just every year the pay before that. Otherwise, the gather interest will go after that. So it's something I have custom with it. The only thing is that it was a lot more cheaper, and it's but Dominic, it came up to 17 something, 1,200 for the front portion and the back portion, so with everything 400 something. So a total of 1,700 something. I had to pay for year. And I was quite satisfied with that. I know that the government decided to reduce it from 3% to 2% a year, much better. And let me tell you why I think I spoke about this many times, but let me explain to you. I'm talking to you personally. I called some for them to put the trees on them around the property. So the fellow comes to the main contractor, he comes, he cut all the trees and they pack everything in front of the house. And I come on and see all them start keep things fire up. I don't like how it's looking there, I don't want that. So I call him now and tell him, hey, them can never put in front of the boy. Or you can't get somebody to come and move that. He say, yeah, man, I can get somebody to move it. I'll call it back. I'll call the man now. I'll call it back. Don't make the man call back and tell me the man say, you want $1,000 to move them thing. And he was $200. Here we were $200 for. So he came to load it on the truck, and when he reached the lab, to offload it. So you're $100 to load up thing. So I paid $1,200. I paid $19. I just pay you one set of money to put the tree and thing. I said, let me call me out. Let me call my counselor. I called my counselor. I had a talk to the counselor and explained to the counselor was just moving things. I said, yeah, the coach, I can get a truck to come and move it. Truck does come and everything, which I know the truck does something, but I'll get the truck to come and move it. Because when the truck come in the area, the truck do the whole area, so my load would I take up a large thing on the truck. So the truck really would take up all and they would take piece. And they'll come back the next week or so and take another piece until it's gone down. So she told me in the future when I doing that to call her, instead of putting everything in front of the house or one thing. And I said, well, good, I like that. But here we're gonna thing then. You know, I save about $1,200. I saved $1,200 because my property tax is working for me. Every fortnight or so, CPEP does come and clean up and the door pass, and in between, county does pass. And in front of my property, and the thing is, it's clean and nice. Now, by beautifying my surrounding, and my thing is, my valuation of my property it will be steady. It will have a good market value. So I willing to pay a reasonable property tax, and this property tax introduced by the government, I find it is very reasonable. And even more that they drop it by a percent again, better yet for me. I'm very grateful for it because I had to contribute to my surroundings too, just like everybody. Thank you, Dominic.
Thank you, sir. Indeed. Call me back, Mr. Chance. Property tax is working for you. Hello? Mr. Chance.
Yes, good afternoon, sir. How are you?
I am good.
Good to get you. I am very happy to have listened to all the discourse with respect to money, finance, and business.
Yes.
Because I think that is very critical at this stage, and you touched on several of them. But I'm just going to touch on three of them. I want to endorse fully what you said about entrepreneurship. That, to me, is a very important strategic approach that the government is using. And that is one of the ways, all over the world, you build your economy through small and micro business. The business sector has to get in to work together with the public sector to have a thriving economy. If you look at America, they talk about that business sector involvement. And the government is, with that initiative, through the Minister of Trade and through the Minister of Youth, they are developing that entrepreneurship, which means you are preparing employers rather than employees. People who can move on to producing and creating generational wealth for their families. And this is important, and I'm looking forward to many people, particularly the people of African descent, taking on that. Because far too often we are just employees rather than employers. So I want to support fully that. The other point I want to support fully, when it comes to revenue, I made a point the last time that it takes money to run a country. The Prime Minister spoke the last time and he said among his colleagues, on several occasions, they will talk about certain things. But when they have to do things in the country, some of them have to write letters to the IMF to get permission to spend money. And some others can't spend it because they don't have it. They can't write checks because they don't have the money. They don't have the fluid money. And that is why revenue is important. And that is why I want to support the point you made on the Trinidad and Tobago Revenue Authority. I've been following it for years, since the time of Mr. Manning in 2007. And there's an IMF report which I do have myself. I read it, and the Minister West spoke about it, where they have said, the IMF have said in their report that we are losing close to $15 billion a year to tax evasion and money laundering. Could you imagine that? Revenue, 15 billion. You know what that could do? How many years? 13 years. Multiply 13 by 15 billion. You know what that could have done for the revenue stream of Trinidad and Tobago? Because that is how we do our business. We have to have money. We must have a revenue stream. And that UNC there, they have never supported it. In fact, the government had to break it down a little bit so that they can pass it. And it's now passed. And I'm pleased to say that in the Parliament quite recently, the government appointed a director of the Trinidad and Tobago Revenue Authority and 2 deputy directors. So we are on the road. That statement was made in the Parliament. So we are on the road where this government is looking to ensure that there will be a revenue stream available to maintain our quality of life, our standard of living, and to put food on the table. There is no shattering tree or no tomato tree that you're planting thing in the Philippines and it's bearing money in Canada. Nothing like that. So you have to have the resources. Of course, we are trying our best with the energy, with petrochemicals, and as well as natural gas. But we have to also deal with it in that way. The other final thing I want to talk about is the business of the property tax. Again, that is a business of revenue stream. And we must see it in that way. Dr. Rowley pointed out one of the ways in which Dr. Williams created a source of money for the development of Trinidad and Tobago was the introduction of income tax in 1958. Dr. Williams came in 56. And he didn't have a ready source of revenue to run the country. And that is how we introduced income tax. in 1958 to get a steady revenue source so that we can do things. And the priority there was education, where we know all of what happened today. All of the people of Trinidad and Tobago using that as a social tool to develop themselves. So that was important. And the final thing I want to say about that property tax business, and I want to make it very clear to the people listening, that property tax is so significant. Here is the headline. Singapore increases its property tax from January 1st, 2024 in order to increase their revenue by $600 million. Singapore. You know all this quote in Singapore? Well, Singapore have so much property tax that they increase it. And between 12 and 26%. Here is another headline. Canada. Property taxes increases across Canada. Same reason. They want to increase the quality of life of their citizens as long as you living there. And he pointed me, he said, Uncle, look at that. And I went on it and I got it out. Canada increases property taxes across the country. Islamabad, owners paying more for property tax. Europe increases property tax. All of that. It's not to keep like the UN, It's to improve the quality of life of those persons in the communities. That's what it's all about. To get a revenue stream that will continue to assist the development of the people. And that is the areas I want to talk about, the other areas, and just to indicate that I'm happy that the government has introduced, but I saw this again on Facebook, that the procurement regulator has introduced what is called a whistleblowing platform. The procurement regulator has established a whistleblowing platform. It's on the internet. And you know what the purpose of that is? So that people can give information on people who want to be corrupt, people who want to thief, and people who want to bubble. So that the government is on the track, trying to reduce corruption, so there'll be much more money to spend for the development of the citizens of Trinidad and Tobago. Thank you very much for the time, Dominic. Thank you kindly.
Thank you, sir. Hello, good afternoon.
Hey, good evening, brother.
Hey, boss.
I'm saying this all I was said for me, and you know, the fact that the show is so booming means that more people are becoming enlightened and tuned in to the correct information and so on.
Yes.
And the people will learn to look at the decision whenever the election is for next year. Now, this will go back to the Russian Parrys. And I wonder if it could be the spoken now with his colleagues and workers who believe in him and who support him and drive for the whole of internal election constitutional when they should be. Because the only, when I see this calculation that the NPFC was like this, is the contribution with the damage, Mogaraj, to the Silaman National, and later, the St. Bukaran challenging the foundation of the different.
Right.
And it shows us how they all events. So, and you know, when you listen to the lady statement about it, and that's what you say there by Jim Meyer, you know that, as you say, local talent is out there. Because the kind of personality that is near the DNA of something family has now crossed it. And when you say about the supporters, if you're talking about the supporters in my hour when you come, but the ordinary people, it's the thousands of the constituency that people learn and they maybe like to talk about. They are capable and they have faith and watch people represent. So all these things that Russian Parrys talking about the PNM, they are confident that she, in her personage, is the weapon they need to be the PNM and leader. They don't know other else. So Russian, I'm sorry, my boy, you came out and said that you will never PNM. I'm sure you're wishing today that you have a willing to get into PNM. And if I were you, I'd have a nice long telephone chat with Mr. Tahaka and ask him how he feels now. Because from what I said, it's a Friday. The only people who look at the support there are two people from local government, right? Mr. Awong and Mr. Robert. And was Mr. Robert who told the national community. I just really decided to put it up in the room for like taking the food. The type of name he would be called. Because he looks like you and you, Robert. And the people who they want to stay on the East West corridor. I think Mr. Robert should say that and still go and sit down and sort of put on as like state and support Dr. Parrys. Then it shows all of us how lost these people are. You know? I believe the point about that too. Just to be a couple of hours ago, I was having a conversation with the niece who is a small business owner, has a business there in the town forest. And I told her that this mentioned that coal was increased and she was able to access it.
Yes.
And she said that she had an application inside. She did not get to, but she would go and look at things and see if she could get that further funding to access that, to expand her business. So the business is doing well, but she's also doing other things, manufacturing products and so on.
Right.
So it's a health wellness business. And part of what she is our clients in addition is drinks, healthy drinks, and too much gel, blended too much gel and stuff. And I told her what's the idea of song, and that is what it's doing. People are looking at ways to food things naturally and so on, and cut the dependency on pharmaceuticals. So I told her go back to them, get a business plan going, and who knows, perhaps you'll be on the way to expanding the business in this program, and more or less bringing other family members. You know what I'm saying? And these are the things that we just have to forward there to the public to understand what is being done to enable Black people, one, to become an entrepreneur, but also to become successful entrepreneurs, to be able to sustain themselves and create opportunities for others who look like us. You know?
Mm-hmm.
Well, I want to thank you and thank you once again for the edifying program. And I hope that people listen and get wise and learn that, hey, whatever they might think individual about the Prime Minister and the members of the cabinet, as a collective, they are working for us and all of us. Not just those of us who support the PNM, but the entire country, wherever it is. Take care, brother.
Thank you. Final call, Brian. Brian.
Hello, good morning.
Yes,
good
sir.
Afternoon, sorry.
Greetings.
How are you, sir?
I am good, sir.
Well, Dominic, hear what? We have been through all this before, you know.
Mm-hmm.
Right? You would have come up against Kamala Prasad Bisesa. You're not going to get it for Russia doesn't even know that you're not going to get the voters list.
Mm.
And if it does, you're not going to get phone numbers. You may get the wrong list of people.
Mm-hmm.
And they all have to be financial. Right? So he started off on it. He had to sneak in wherever the headquarters is and get a copy of the list of legible voters who can vote, get their telephone numbers, get their addresses. I said that is the start. Because when your leader, imagine your party, and when your leader is questioned by the media about you, she says your ambitions outweigh your ability. Imagine that. I mean, just think about it for a second. You can imagine Dr. Oli saying that about a member of his government, that their ambitions outweigh their ability. Then the city government collapse. That's all?
Yes.
So what do you think happened across on that side? Your ambition outweighs your ability. In other words, who is you? You're nobody, you're just making up numbers, brother. You and maybe some others behind me, they're just making up numbers because you play musical chairs. But then people on that side, 1 minute, you see them in one position, next minute you see them on the front bench, next on the back bench, and so on. Where's Michelle Benjamin? Well, last she made a contribution in the Parliament. She made one for the year? Where's she? Huh? But you had 12 people swearing allegiance because after Russian Parrys, others must get warning. Hey, swear your allegiance to me, you know. Otherwise, kiss the foot, you know. Otherwise, all on you. When they say I pull out my list of people to go for election, that's it, you know. If you're not on board, too bad. And it has some people have to be on board because many of them have questions to answer before the court.
Correct.
So therefore, some of them have to come out and say, hey, you see me? I swear allegiance to Her Majesty, Queen Tut, because I want to make sure I have a seat in the Parliament, just in case, the sky should fall and that we should win. If that we'll be able to get those charges dropped or just prolonged. You understand? And that is what is going on. So I want to tell good old Russians, you may have good intentions, my friend. You may have some backing from, I don't know, maybe the new Mahatsab, I don't know. But brother, the first thing you have to do is get the correct list. Because that executive, when the police do the count, whether you would have thought you would have won or not, you would have lost. So a simple son just said, sorry for you, brother. I did this for you. And all the others, because that's what people are saying a word, not making a contribution. I wonder why. It's at a time when other individuals should be talking every day. But today, up to this whole year so far, not a contribution. You understand? So they sit down there, some of them inside of it, and you're watching them. Not only headlines to talk about it really, back page and page 7 and page 9 of the papers, but it was for P&M. Front page, interview, running down Dr. Rowley, running down this one, running down that one. You remember first the comments issue?
Yes.
That was headline for how long? How long was headline for? He was interviewed twice by the energy reporter for TV6. Jewel Brown, twice. One in a sit-down interview. Who say no to interview Russian Parrys? Huh? You're seeing that. But that's how it is. One rule for them and one rule for the P&M. But they make a collapse and them strong. They, according to what you said earlier, they're moving up and they're moving on. Things are good. Look at Victor Roberts today. Victor Roberts used to be propping up people to walk. One hand holding a casket and the next hand is a prop for them to make 2 steps. You always in Joseph with your casket in front of people's house. But today, you're holding your head and bowling. They go, God, man, thing. I do with this thing. Really? But you look for that, brother. You take that and cool it. Well, they will learn as African people. Well, they will never learn. So take that. I feel no pain for you. I feel no sorrow for you. You stop right there. But Dominic, I think many of your callers alluded to what is happening with respect to you as well, from your lead, with respect to the entrepreneurship and so on, and the amount of avenues being opened up for people in Trinidad and Tobago. But Dominic, you know what's also happening? Digital transformation. In other words, Dominic, when you want to try and beat the traffic light, click. And a couple of days' time, you get a document in your mail. No longer, people are saying you could beg them. They say, oh God, give me a chance, if your brother, give me a chance, officer, please, I beg you. Oh God, I won't do it again. Just a click. That's U-turn system. And everything is processed. And you will get your nice, lovely little ticket. You know how to, and not only that too, but what that does too, all those false number plates on stolen vehicles, Yes?
Yes.
And all those other things that you can now fact check very quickly within a very short space of time can now be easily done by people. Because why? It is digital transformation. So I had to listen to a fella called Adrian Acosta, who is president of the Taxi Drivers Association, saying that they're going to make them pauper. Why they do this? They're going to be poor. Because they can't break red light. Imagine that. A president of an association saying we're going to fight it. Dominic. So they don't want progress, Dominic. They don't want us to move from police sign up in the hot sun and rain to try to talk you down and say, hey, look at tickets. No, they want to be able to break the law, continue to break the law. And then when they don't break it, they come and they cry crocodile tears so they could get off. And then when they drive off, thank you, officer, I'm really sorry, even up next time, they laugh at the officer. Well, no more. You understand? I congratulate the Minister of Works. You understand? I congratulate them because this is a good thing for us. And this is the way we have to go if we want to be fulfilled. So you know, nobody telling you, well, you could stop there and you want to beg for a chance. You will get your ticket in the mail and you will have to go and pay it. You don't know who to talk to. You can't talk to the U-turn system. You have to accept what you get. And this is the way we are going, Dominic. We have to make the necessary changes in order to make sure that Tobago not only a better place, but a safer place. You understand? And forget these hustlers who make it truckloads of money from trying to fool us by saying, oh God, they're going to make me a pauper. So they're not. I thought there was a pauper before when they raised the gas price. That's it, Adrian Acosta. But you ain't a pauper really. Now we're going to be a pauper. You see, they feel we forget, but we're not going to forget. So onward we trek, Dominic.
Yes.
Because we're not just working to make things, to improve things for us and make things better for us and easier and make life easier for the police so that they can go on to do other things for us, other duties. You understand? And not spend all the time on the road looking to see who breaking traffic lights. Dominic, have a good day.
Thank you, sir. Yes, folks, so it is 2:23. We had a lot of chatting today. I mean, a lot was said, and we will continue the discussion on Tuesday, God's willing. Just to mention again, I saw Mrs. Pasabisasa all dressed up in her African way, I suppose, in recognition of the spiritual Shouter Baptist holiday that is coming up next weekend. She said to normally Roger and them, you know, Roger, Ansel Roger and them have no shame. You know. Politics makes strange bedfellows. This man, after you had an effigy of Kamala, when she was Prime Minister, dragging through the street, this woman call you and your union when the government offered you all the refinery and you came up with your plan and you're going around the place to drop off copies, this one, that one. She told all, come and talk with us. Sit down and talk with us. And when you all go on to this meeting, she tell all, hey, what? Don't just bid for the refinery, bid for the whole of Petrotrin. The bid for the refinery and the non-core assets which were not offered for sale. She said, go big, go big or go home, or go brave or go home. Right? Or let's take that chain up. She encouraged all to do that, and then when it is government come and tell her, hey, all right, we're giving you the refinery. She come with a whole 10-point document. I said a question, she want to know how Ole could afford that and where the money coming from or where the union getting that. After she tell Ole to go and bid for the whole company, she wasn't concerned where the money was coming from for the whole company. But you all were offered the refinery, and clearly you come out and say afterwards that they weren't genuine and they tried to sabotage you and all kind of things you see. But today you sit down with she and all discussing union matters. And you want to align yourself with them for the next general election. Nothing to offer. Nothing to offer, you know. But you want to come and sit down and align with them. All the wrongdoings and all the things that you identified that they did wrong when you were hand in hand with Dr. Rowley and Mr. Warner walking from Shagaramas to the waterfront because they were giving away the lands in Shagaramas to the same 1% that they bad talking today. When they gave away the convention center, Shagville Beach, 4 acres of land at $1 per year for 30 years. All of those things that they give away, right? When there was talk about eventually when they finished, they would have to put up a barrier when you enter in Chaguaramas because that whole area would be privatized. You, Roger, walk hand in hand. And today you sitting down with this woman to talk about what? To talk about what? You still toting because you didn't get a refinery? The government gave you an opportunity, they tell you don't need to get all the money up front to purchase the refinery because we don't want to saddle you with debt. We'll give you a 3-year moratorium in the first instance and then 10 years to pay. When the refinery up and running and you're making money, you could pay us back from the earnings of the refinery. You don't want to borrow no money. And even that you couldn't do. Even that you all could not do. But today you want to come and sit down with Prasad Bisas. Well, you're mad. There's something wrong with Ole and Roger. Very, very wrong with Ole. Right? Again, party before country. So I don't know if it is you figure that what? That if it is your line with them and they win the election, that they will just hand you the refinery? Really? Say, look it as payback because you join with us and you give us your hand as government. That's not going to happen. No day, no way. It's not going to happen. She might tell Ole she will do that. And as soon as Ole gets into office, that's it. She got what she wanted and she could kick you all to the curb like it happened the first time. Ole wouldn't learn. But go ahead, align with her. Ole have reputation and sully and stink already. So the population is not food. Waste that time. All earlier. This government continues to do what it is that they have to do. Kudos to the Ministry of Youth Development and National Service. Kudos to the Ministry of Trade and Industry that is doing yeoman service with respect to promoting entrepreneurship. And again, I say, while Kamla Prasad Bisasa talking about creating jobs and creating employees, it really is about creating grant funding and creating employers. 1,000 entrepreneurs by 2025, that's next year. $20 million set aside for 1,000 persons to get grants up to $20,000 to start your business or expand your business. And then you have the homestead program, which is another how much $1 million set aside to give people grant funding to start your agribusiness, 2 acres of land and start a home, your license, your farmer's license and all of that. So you have tenure. And when you get that, you have this new program now where you can get up to $100,000 to expand your agribusiness. So at $20,000 through the homestead plus an additional $100,000 through this other grant funding program. But you ain't talking about that. Yeah? Run half of them talking about that. All these men and women and letters, all these economists who always have plenty to say. Ralph Maraj wouldn't write an article and commend the government, but if it is the government of Guyana, the president of Guyana announced 1,000 acres of land set aside to grow coconut, he will write a whole article on that. But we're looking to create 1,000+ entrepreneurs, 2,000 farmers who are supposed to benefit from this program here. They could plant whatever they want. They could plant coconut. If they want to plant lemons, they want to plant pepper, tomatoes, you name it. Go ahead and plant it. You have the land, we're giving you the money. Invest in technology. They're pointing you on it. You want to access foreign markets as well to sell your produce. You want to think big outside of Trinidad and Tobago, we're helping you with that too. And we're not just limiting you to the Caribbean region and the Americas. We're going as far as Africa as well. Kamala ain't talking that. She ain't talking that. She's talking about baby grant. She's talking about creating 55,000 jobs. She's talking about reducing corporate tax from 30 and 35% down to 18%, cutting government revenue and private sector in almost half. I'm not telling you how is she going to make up, how is she going to get revenue to replace that. Right? That's what she's offering. She's going to build back the country's foreign reserves and stop what the government is doing now, the managed float, and cause the exchange rate to float, but in the wrong direction, to drive up the costs of imports, but only having that conversation. You're only having that conversation, but Roger wants to sit down with her to discuss what? When you go to sit down with Kamala, you need to work with a copy of her manifesto, Roger, and ask her about these things, because remember, when you align with her, you in support of that, so that if it is only lucky and get into office next year, when they start to implement all of these things that they have in the manifesto and they start to jam your workers, then we hear what you will say. We hear what you will say after that. We didn't know. Yeah. Ignorance is no excuse, Roger. But anyway, go ahead. sleep with the devil, sleep with Laja Bless, and see what the outcome going to be. Folks, thank you all so much for joining me. And we will chat again on Tuesday morning, God's willing. Yes, Winston says headless UNC. They don't know if they come in or they go in. Kamala wants another term, and she will do whatever it takes. And if it means she has to get rid of the competition, imagine Penny Beckles challenged Dr. Rowley for the leadership of the PNM. Right? No animosity, no acrimony. After that challenge, she got a posting as Trinidad and Tobago's permanent representative to the United Nations in New York. And then after that, today, she's a member of cabinet, a government minister in Keith Rowley's administration, despite the fact that she challenged Dr. Rowley for the leadership. But in the UNC, if you challenge the leader, what happened to you? You are declared an imakaram. You are declared a wannabe. Hold your horses. You are declared as an elitist, a knife and fork Indian. And you're told if it is your philosophy is country before party, then go to hell. Go to hell. And you end up consigned to the political cemetery. The UNC, right now, they're dominating the political cemetery. Kamala by a whole section full of plots just to be burying political opponents. Anybody who wants to challenge her for leadership, hey, call the funeral home. Tell them to have a next body to come and pick up. Paul Rushton, he, Victor Roberts, Rai Ragbir, Dinesh Rambali, Henry Awong, and the rest of them, all who was there clapping Friday, clapping for Rushton. Right? Yeah. Right now, Munilal is a zombie. He should have ended up in the political cemetery since 2015. But she gave him a lifeline, she gave him a blight. Yeah? Then he should have been there as well. So he's eternally grateful to her that he's still involved in the politics of Trinidad and Tobago. She gave him a blight. So he has already paid obeisance to her, and he has offered his lifelong fealty, his loyalty, and he will bide his time. He's supporting her now, but he's supporting somebody else closeted, but biding his time in the hopes that she lose next year, and then hopefully she will depart. Same supporters, and then when you're reading in the comments, lambasting she tail, but today or tomorrow they call her internal election, all of them going right back and vote for her and put her back there. But we in the PNM, we thank you all for that, and we encourage you to do just that. Just that. Continue so to do. We will keep watch. All right? We just asking all you, keep her there for, let her lead you all into the next election. Anything that happens after that, if all they want to kill each other when all they lost next year, that's all your business. We're not concerned about that. Folks, thank you all so much. We will chat again. Mario says, cook lead and eating lunch now. He's still viewing. Thank you so much. Thank you so much, Mario. Thank you as well, Melka, Raymond Penny. Thank you, Deborah. Thank you so much, Joycelyn. Yeah, Zodi funeral and dirges. Oh gosh. Burials. We will see what will happen. Folks, no such funerals taking place in the PNM, right? Because we good. Get all your, well, tell all your, buy all your large popcorn, your popcorn maker, and well, the UNC Kuchuru could give all your diabetes because the amount of large Coca-Cola and stuff we need to be drinking for the course of the next year or so, we could very well end up with diabetes before the general election. But take care, enjoy the rest of your Sunday. And we will chat again. Thank you so much, Jennifer and Donna. Patty, thank you, Embassy. I didn't see what Ricky's saying there. I didn't see him. All you're good with. Alche says Roger just hate Dr. Rowley. Well, you'll see. How that hate will help him. He's the next one need to pull up as well. But he and Kamala, well, they could ride in the same horse to the political cemetery after the general election of 2025. Folks, enjoy the rest of your Sunday. Have a good one. We will chat again. Enjoy the rest of your Palm Sunday. And yeah, that's it for me.